You see it on TV or read it in a magazine. Celebrities who want sympathy. All they do is bitch and moan inside the Rolling Stones, talking about, hey guys, how's it going? What's going on? Foster, my good man, how are you?
Good, thanks. How you doing, buddy?
I am doing quite well here. So we were just for everyone here. I've been reading a couple of your comments so far, and I guess there's a couple of people that are wondering about the DC Palm NFT deal, and from what it looks like, if anyone remembers some events that used to happen with Pokemon years ago, like if you attended a certain event, you get a certain Pokemon card, and if you go and do a certain thing, a certain set of thing with even Pokemon cards. You go in and you trade in something in with something else, you get a card back. And I think that's what this is. It's probably just their version of NFTs. Again, the deal that we have with DC is specifically for premium 3D digital collectibles. And these don't seem like premium 3D. They just seem like maybe a 2D thing, almost like a poster. Is that what you're gathering?
Yeah, that's what I'm getting as well. Like it doesn't say anything about comic books. It doesn't say anything about premium 3D digital statues. It's an NFT of something related to DC that'll be minted on the blockchain. And as we know, and as we're going to continue to see, and I think we'll probably cover it in a bit as well. Some news came out with Dapper Labs, with them having a partnership with the NFL and the NFLPA, which is another piece that I've seen a lot of members in the community being concerned about. I think that we're, especially over the next couple months, as we're hitting this next kind of major hype cycle for NFTs, I think we're going to start to see more companies pop up with licenses that have already been confirmed and that we are seeing on Veve, or that we speculate and believe will be on Veve. And I think it's going to cause some confusion for people. I think we will get some clarification in the AMA tomorrow. Maybe an additional understanding of kind of how licensing works. But as you mentioned, and as it's important for the community to remember, like Veve has the license with these partnerships for 3D licensed digital collectibles, and in some cases, obviously, comic books. So understand that similarly to how we heard about Quid a few months ago, and a bunch of people were concerned because Quid had, Disney, they had Pokemon, they had Marvel, they had all these licenses, and people just said, well, we can't have Marvel because they already have Marvel. Obviously, we saw that that wasn't the case, and that is because Quid releases stickers or 2D collectibles, and Veve's and Ecomi's licensing is for 3D collectibles. So I think we're going to continue to see more and more of these crossover licenses and partnerships pop up. And I think if anything, it's even more bullish for the NFT space, because at the end of the day, it will bring in more people that weren't aware that the product existed. And then as people start to do more research on the product, I believe that they're just going to gravitate towards the best and highest quality product, which I think at this point anyways, we can all agree is Veve. So
Yeah, no, agreed 100%. I've seen this with Pokemon before too, where there's some random company that that somehow gets a random license for Pokemon. The way the language is worded, it's that it's not a game. It's like it's whatever. It's not a game licensed by Game Freak, and it is a game, but it is god awful. And it's like, okay, one, how did they get the license, and two, why would they use it for this? It's because after so many different people get licenses, the licenses are like, you have to be really obscure and interpret it weird ways just to get something. Like, again, just maybe like a chip or like a token that we had. Like, there's random companies that sell licensed Pokemon damage counters, for the playing card game. It's like, oh, hey, here's a chancy damage counter, instead of just having, not that people really use a lot of those anyway, but yeah. So just because you have a DC license or an NFL Players Association license doesn't mean that it's the same license that we have. But I agree, it's a good thing. Is if you get a bunch of people that previously didn't know about NFTs, didn't know what they were, and then suddenly they're in the hobby, at least it grows the hobby, and then this way you're able to go and like I said, do your own research and find out, oh, hey, I actually like NFTs, and then that grows, it snowballs from there. It's like, oh, I like these, and then we get to Veve, and I feel like once they get to Veve, that's all she wrote. Like that's the higher end. Although speaking of higher end, do you think that, like in Pokemon, there are some higher end trophy cards that nobody goes for or most people don't go for because they're so out of reach of the market? Do you think that some people, as they come in right now, like, okay, most of these digital collectibles are hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. I'm just not even going to bother. I might just go into Terra Virtua or Quid or something like that.
Yeah, I mean that's a good point, and I think that is something that we've always seen Dan and David and the team try and combat with their pricing. I think outside of maybe the Spider-Man drop, which was obviously quite expensive, I don't think we've seen anything priced over $120 in the primary sale. Now, obviously, the secondary market has a life of its own, and we've seen that. But I don't think that people who are coming into the space will ever feel as though, hey, there's absolutely nothing for me. Everything is too expensive and I can't use this application. I think as time goes on, we'll see more, and I don't want to call them lower end drops, but less expensive licenses. I mean, we've seen the Mermicornos, the Tokidokis, the Marvel Mighties, like even comic books. I mean, if you want to get a comic book, you know, if you're lucky enough to get one, it costs you $7. And at least in the last, month or so, it's literally, and a lot of people have said it, like it's literally like winning the lottery, because you buy a $7 lottery ticket, and assuming that you get a ticket, you are guaranteed to make money off of it. Now, whether that's $10, $100, $1,000, $10,000, it really doesn't matter. But no, I think that as we start to see more licenses rolled out and more fandoms, as we get to a point where we start to see, 4, 5 drops a week, we may see a mix of, hey, here's your really expensive Artist Alley, one of ones that's going to appeal to a very unique subset of the population. You're going to see your more expensive premium fandoms, whether it be your Simone Legnos, your Frank Kozics, your Jermaine Rogers, your DC and Marvel collectibles. And then you'll also see a rollout of, LOL Surprise, Mermicorno, like all of those. And I think that it will give you a range of price points to enter in on. And then as the app grows, I mean, we'll just have to see where the edition numbers go. I think that a lot of season 1 and season 2 collectibles will be out of reach for the vast majority of people in 6 months to a year. But I don't think that that's necessarily an issue, as long as Veve continues to pump more content into the markets to make sure that there's always stuff that people can attempt to acquire and be engaged with.
Yeah, I agree. And I guess building off what you said a little bit, do you think there's a chance that, like, let's say in the real world, like like there's brands like, Louis Vuitton and Gucci, and then there's brands like Target where I shop and Hot Topic where I go. Do you think that, and I don't get like salty at people who wear like Gucci or Louis Vuitton, but do you think that Ecomi could get away with, obviously, selling all things like they do relatively cheap, at least at the start, but do you think they could get away with, hey guys, there's going to be 100 of these that are only going to be minted ever, like a random one, whatever, and they say, like say it's like a golden Lucius Malfoy cane, and there's only 100 of them, and they charge like $5,000 out the gate. Do you think people would like go crazy nuts for it, or they would be like crazy angry in the fact that, like, oh, you're catering just to the rich, even though 99% of their stuff is very affordable?
I think that just really brings in what is valuable in collecting, right? So scarcity and rarity will always drive value when it comes to a collectible. So at the end of the day, we saw what happened to the Secret Rare Spider-Man Ultimate Animated, which was to date the most expensive collectible that dropped. I think the Captain America also as well was $400. How long did it take for those to sell out, right? And there were 1,000 of them. So what I will say is, yes, there may be a small subset of the community that would be upset that they didn't get an opportunity at it. But what I would say to that is that collecting in and of itself is not meant to be accessible to absolutely everyone. As a perfect example, a first edition Charizard Holo, 9.8 gem, whatever rating.
Yeah.
If they if Pokemon re-released, let's say 10 of those to those exact specs, and they said, yeah, this is like whatever, I mean, people are going to pay what it's worth, right? At the end of the day. So even if they did an auction system or they listed it high to begin with, the people with the most money are going to come in and say, hey, I want this more than you and I have more means than you, so I'm going to purchase it, right? So we have the blind boxes available for the comic books, which are really a lottery for you to win $50,000 for essentially free. And then we have some collectibles that will eventually roll out in Artist Alley where, yes, you may not have an opportunity to purchase it as a collector, but also understand the value proposition of the attention that it brings to the app, the attention that it brings if you're an OMI holder to the token, the burn that it brings to the OMI token. And I think it's still overall good for the ecosystem. I mean, we look at Donnie, which was listed for whatever, $14.99 or whatever it was. There's only 150 of them, and the cheapest one on the marketplace is $100,000. Right now, if the inverse happened and they listed, 50 Donnies for $100,000, I mean, it's up to people at the end of the day whether they want to buy it or not, right? Like, you don't have to make it. No one's forcing you to buy it. So let's say only 10 of them get sold, the rest of them get burnt. And as a causality, even more value is added to the collectibles that people already own. So no, I think that they should have a wide range of collectibles. We know with Artist Alley that they're going to be releasing one of ones. We already know that, is it Frank that's releasing the Labbit statues, like the actual physical edition pairings. Like you're telling me you're going to be able to buy those in the app for $100? Like, absolutely no chance. Like, they're going to be 4 figures easily to buy, and I guarantee you it will sell out in a quarter of a second. Like, that's just it's the animal that is Veve now. Like, we've started the train, and it's got its momentum, and you're not stopping it now. So
agreed. We got Atomic 06499 super chat. It's like, hey guys, good stuff. One thing on licensing to consider: are platforms like Veve touting exclusive licenses or just licenses? Certainly matters. I mean, I'm almost positive they said exclusive licenses in the past, but again, that could be interpreted as, okay, we're the only ones that can exclusively mint or print 3D, animated stuff, whereas somebody might be able to print 2D or something else, but it's not animated. And even still, I think something that Veve has is that, other people, maybe they can print 3D stuff and it might look almost as good, maybe just as good, but their stuff isn't allowed to come into the Veveverse, but our stuff is. And I think that's going to be an important distinction moving forward when this rolls out, in the next 6 months. That's just my thoughts on it. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, what I will say is that in several AMAs, Dan Carruthers, who's the COO of Ecomi, has come out and said that their licensing is exclusive in that it is exclusive to the type of content that they produce. So how we interpret that is obviously up to our individual interpretation. How I interpret that is, if they have the license with Marvel, they have the exclusive rights to produce 3D premium digital collectibles. Does that stop someone from making a trading card Marvel, or a 2D collectible, or sound clip voiceovers of Marvel, or Marvel video clips, Marvel moments? No, it technically does not. So until we see it on the Veve app, someone else could conceivably acquire that portion of that license. But for all the licenses that we do have confirmed in the formats that they are being released on Veve, they are exclusive in that regard.
No, that makes sense. And I don't blame Marvel or DC for saying, oh, you want to pay us just to make some crappy version of a card or a 2D collectible. Like,
totally.
Yeah, I don't blame them at all. I was like, yeah, go and do that.
They're their business. They want to make money, right? Like,
yeah. So I definitely don't blame them. Marcus Joe's name. I missed the Quid Fund. Everything was on fire sale back then. What was like the best deal that you ever got? I can't believe I got this for this amount of money. Did you ever get anything for a steal?
I'll be honest with you. It's kind of shameful to say it now, looking at some of the prices in the market, but I was never a huge secondary market guy. And that, like, I had always gone in with the sentiment that, like, if I don't get it on the drop, then like someone's got a one up on me. And like, now I'm spending money that I shouldn't be. And of course, now we look at those prices and it's like, man, I'd still be like 10 to 20x on most of the things that I would have bought. What I will say though is, and shout out to, I don't know if it was Veve Vault or even one of the other collectors, but it was someone in the community that made a video and said, hey, you really need to buy the number 100 Todd McFarlane Batman. It's the first ever collectible that was dropped on Veve, and it's going to be worth a butt ton of money one day. And I think I picked it up in the marketplace when it was, I think I bought it for $315 or $325. And I mean, I think floor right now is 1.8. So, I mean, I've made a 6X and I have to say that I'm not selling before it hits 5 figures. And even then I might not sell. So yeah, I would say that that's my best ROI on a collectible that I bought in the secondary market. And then, I did a live stream yesterday. I do consider myself very fortunate. I have phenomenal internet. So I've been like, I have one millisecond ping, so I'm very lucky when I'm buying collectibles. I normally get the most exclusive or rarest item that's dropped. So
Yeah.
I've been fortunate that like I've gotten lucky in the secret rare Spider-Man Ultimate Animated and the Captain America secret rare and stuff. So I'll definitely make good money on those one day. But yeah, in the secondary market, I'd say probably Todd.
Yeah, the NFT Pirates just had a video this morning. I watched like half of it. That was saying like Todd Batman is the very first NFT, by Veve and Ecomi, and why you should get it. And apparently this dude had like 30 of them at one point.
Oh wow.
And then because he got it super cheap, and then he's like, I could sell some of these and complete some more sets and do whatever. And I don't know how many he has left, but yeah, like. I'm so I'm so jealous. I didn't think of that beforehand, because when we had like 10-20,000 people or whatever. Only Queen's asking, the change to immutable, if your tokens are in a wallet in an exchange, will they automatically become ERC20 tokens? Does that count for like Bit4X as well, or is it only the new ones that are going to come out?
I would imagine so. I would wait until they release additional clarification, Omi Queen. But from my understanding, based on the Medium article that was released by Reese and Ecomi yesterday, my understanding is that yes, it will be, if it's on an exchange, you will be able to have it it'll transmit automatically. So the biggest issue that we're running into right now with exchanges, and the reason that we're not seeing more listings, is because it's not because the exchanges don't want to list the OMI token. It's because the Go20 standard, which is the token that OMI currently is underpinned by, is not supported by a lot of exchanges. So it's a completely separate network that isn't necessarily supported. So once we convert over to ERC20, which is a native underpin that is supported by essentially every exchange, the exchanges should on the back end just be able to do that conversion for you, which is why in the article it kind of says automatically. I would imagine that it will be any exchange, but I can't promise that. But I mean, for me anyways, I have mine on Bit4X and I'm not touching them until the conversion happen, and I am hopeful that it will happen automatically.
Yeah, and a bunch of content creators will be doing videos on that too when we get more information. Real quick, this guy says in bear market, SP started to crash too. Dude, stop lying. Like the only thing that's down right now, not even 0.1%, is the NASDAQ. Everything else is up. So yeah, please stop lying.
I'll give you a moment to pull this up. They just posted the Medium article for No Time to Die. A couple of people are saying it in the chat. So I'll let you break it down for the peeps if you want.
All right. Yeah, let's get this bread. Let's get this bread. Let's see. Let me go to as I bring that up.
Oh my God, it's this Friday. Sorry to interrupt you. What?
Oh, no, that was good. Amo Medovich says, Foster, if you had to guess, what would be your end of the year price prediction for 2021 and 2022? I would, honestly, I said 5 cents by the end of this year. I'm thinking 8 cents might be more possible.
Honestly, man, yeah. Well, will you pull that up? I'll give my quick thoughts on that. So, Amo, thank you so much for the question. I appreciate that. And thanks for supporting Randy and us on the channel here and stopping by. What I would say is, it's really going to depend on how quickly the catalysts that we know are coming are rolled out. So I'm very hesitant to say December 31st, 2021, this is our price. I would roll it more so into Q1 2022 for the sole fact, oh my God, Randy's excited. I'm excited. Oh my God. Oh my God. Okay, I'll make it quick. I'll make it quick. So I think that if the immutable transition happens by the end of October, and it's smooth, there's no delays. They've taken timeframes and actually worked them in with delays and say, yes, by the end of October, this will happen. And then immediately after the immutable transition, we get exchange listings, which we know are already lined up on the ERC20. And if it's one or two major exchanges, like if we get a Coinbase, a Binance, a Kraken, any of those major exchanges, if we get a couple extra pushes from, like if we get like the Super Mario Brothers license and that gets underpinned with a movie, similarly to how we have 007 that's come out with a movie, if we get a crazy anime brand announced out of Japan and we start to get that on board, and then especially the thing that I'm most counting on is the articles that are supposed to come out at the end of this week for the Master Collector Program and the OMI utility. Once we see both of those tracks and see how successful they will be, assuming that the OMI utility program is like dope and like 80% of people want to stake their tokens. I could very easily see 5 to 10 cents by the end of this year. But if they have that and then they don't roll it out until Q1 of 2022, then obviously that price prediction gets delayed. But I still think the validity of the actual price action is valid. But I'm going to do a video once that comes out and actually run the concrete numbers. Randy, bring it on me, man. What do we got?
Yeah,
What do we got?
Will Coulter says Missy Muda. Missy too, Will Coulter. And yeah, I think the biggest catalyst will be Veve versus next year when that comes out. So yeah, No Time to Die. This comes out on Sunday. This has me thinking that not only do we have a Labbits drop on Saturday, but this drop on October 3rd, which will come out on Sunday. They have Comic-Con from the 7th, the 8th, the 9th, and the 10th. So are they going to move the comic drops to like, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and have digital collectibles on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday? I don't know. But there's a couple of things that we got here. So the 25th anniversary, the film from Albert R. Broccoli, that's his name, Albert R. Broccoli's Eon Production, Metro Goldwyn Mayer Studios, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. So he's left active service, enjoying a tranquil life in Jamaica. His peace is short-lived when his old friend Felix Leither from CIA turns up asking for help. And there's 4 of these right now. And out of the 4 of them, I'll start with the cheapest one. We have the Sapphin Mask. And the Sapphin Mask, that's the one that Remy Malik, he's the one that has that in the thing. It'd be great.
Yeah.
Super Sapphin disguises himself with a Japanese no mask when he pays a visit to an isolated house seeking revenge. And there are 7,007 of them, and the price is $57. So I think a good amount of us will probably get that. Even if we don't, we could probably get it for on the marketplace. But I think most of us will be able to get that because there's still things on Star Trek that people haven't gotten, which is fine. The next one we have is a static. This is a glider. So first plane ever in the Veveverse, and also I guess also it's the first not only plane, it's the first submarine also, because the glider, which transforms into a submersible, gains access to Sapphin's Island facility. This one is $127 at 5,007 editions. It is a first appearance. It is rare, and it is available globally. And the next one is pretty much the same thing. It is a 1-to-1 glider, but it's animated. So similar to like you would have a Spider-Man or Captain America with the thing. And this one's $197, and there's 3,007 editions of it. This is the first appearance as well. It is ultra rare. And then, I don't know how this will affect people, but you can't complete the set right now because coming soon is a fourth collectible. I don't know if they're going to wait until after Comic-Con to do it, or if they're going to do it during Comic-Con. That would be bananas if they did that. I'm sorry for everyone that's doing the drinking game that every time I say bananas, they take a drink. But yeah, I'm very, very excited for that. And James Bond also has a 6% licensor fee in conjunction with Veve's 2.5%. So what are your thoughts, Foster? Go.
Firstly, for the collectibles, super stoked. I mean, that's awesome that they're adding a range in of the different types of collectibles. Like having a glider would be absolutely sick. And I love how they have like I'm looking at the picture right now. Like I love how it's like an actual like it's like a statue. Like the mask is like it's got a pedestal and everything that you could put in your showroom. So if you own 2 of them in your 007 showroom, like as more stuff rolls out, like that could be your entrance on either side to your showroom. Like that'd be dope. That'd be sweet. And then the glider, the fact that it's animated, like I don't know what kind of animation you could make for a glider, but like the glider's 1-to-1. So it's going to be like a good size. So it's going to be sweet when you can bring that like out to a park and like see it flying around or do whatever it's going to do. Maybe it's going to like shoot things, like who knows, right? Like that's going to be so sweet. And then, it's exciting that this is really smart marketing in my mind, because now you're retaining the hype and interest in the product, right? So by not dropping the entire set right now, you're making sure that the audience stays engaged for several weeks before you release or complete the set, which should continue to drive secondary market engagement, because people will want to be competing to make sure that they have those items in order to get that next item. And who knows what that item is going to be. I would imagine is it a common or is it a secret rare? Because we don't have.
It doesn't say. It didn't.
Yeah, because we don't have a common or an uncommon dropping, or because there's 2 rares.
Yeah.
Right. Like I guess. So the static glider and the mask are both rare. The animated glider is ultra rare. So we don't have a common, an uncommon, or a secret rare. So it'll be interesting to see the fourth collectible and the first ever No Time to Die collectible. Like that'll be super interesting to see what that is. And then I think the 6% licensor fee, I'm actually really glad to see, because what that shows me is that Marvel is a massive license. 007 and MGM, massive license. And it seems as though Veve and Ecomi have been able to cap the licensor fees at 6%. Essentially, is what I'm seeing. Now, if we see something crazy like Pokemon or whatever, like take 80%, like, you know, like who knows, right? Like it's going to be crazy. But the fact that 6% seems to be the standard, I think that gives people an idea of how to calculate the value of their collectibles moving forward. It's something that we can work into the value. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I also heard that people said that that percentage also will get burnt from the circulating supply once it's converted.
Yes.
So all that means is more collectibles that are burning 3.5 times the amount that we're burning right now. So to me, that's super exciting. And I've never understood, you know, some people will say like, oh, I think it's ridiculous that these licensors get a 6% fee in the secondary market. And I'm like, you know, they're complaining about, they bought a $7 comic book and then they're selling it for 10 grand. And they're like, oh, no, I'm going to pay $850 for the licensor. It's like, you just made $9,000 for doing nothing. Like, yes, they deserve the money too. And you know what? If you want to sell on OpenSea or something else with the gas fees and everything, it'd be way more than that. Yeah. So I mean, if 6% is what it costs to get us these licensors, I mean, I would gladly pay that any day of the week.
Yeah, so, easy. Again, the idea that I think some people just, they're not used to that, and some people that just are on OpenSea, they're going to say, "Oh, this is only 8.5." And you're saving so much more ETH. Yeah, all over it, all over. And that's if these people choose to sell at some point. You know, that's really only if you.
Well, and that's it. You only pay that fee when you close. I'll be back in 30 seconds. Keep it going though.
Yeah. So yeah, Spencer Koenig says he can understand very well why the Veve is doing so well, because he's addicted to these drops. I haven't been addicted to anything like this since Pokemon games, you know, where they come out every like year or 2 years or whatever. That's really the only thing that I've like taken off work for. I mean, this obviously I don't work anymore, but these are the only, like, I put my phone in airplane mode. Nobody is annoying me. Nobody is getting through on these drops, because that's what's most important. I always tell people, like, hey, listen, if you're having stress in your life, if you're stressed about certain things, whatever, go to the gym. Go hit a heavy bag for a couple rounds. Tell me how stressed you are about like your next car payment, or stressed about a girl, or you're stressed about, you know, like your job, like after going a few rounds. No, you don't care, because nothing else matters. It's the same with these drops. At this time, when we're all like again, getting that lotto ticket, potentially getting something that is worth thousands for something that's $7. And just nothing else matters in the world right now, because we all have a much better chance at winning that than we do the lottery. And again, like my friend Dan said, he showed me a text with him and his friend, says like, hey, you go, like, let's say me, like, learn how to count cards. Every single hand that I play that technically doesn't matter as far as the count goes, while I'm getting the count, $10 a hand that I'm sacrificing just so I can get a good count, so I can then bet you know, like hundreds of dollars a hand. And blackjack, typically, you know, a lot of time you lose. You know, you gain the advantage when you get a good count. But yeah, these are virtually risk-free. I was talking about the comic book drops, but even some of these, like even the drop that we had, the blind box with Throg, you made money. Like, I don't care if you just got a common like I did, you made money. So I'm very excited. Even these, the rare is something, or I'm sorry, the mask is something that might not go for, you know, as much. It might not even sell out, just because there's a decent amount of them. I mean, I want one. Heck, I want two, like Foster said. Like, if you think that I am not going to be piloting that plane with that mask on my avatar, having the greatest of times, screaming like a madman, you're crazy. You're crazy. You're nuts. If you think that somebody builds an Eiffel Tower, that I'm not going to try to take my glider and glide through that Eiffel Tower, not like through it, not like a terrorist act, like I don't know, Foster, you remember Ripley's Believe It or Not, where one dude on the Eiffel Tower, he had a plane and he had like a couple of inches on each side and he flew underneath it between the space. It was awesome. It was in the 90s. It was awesome at the time. But if you think I'm not going to try to do that with my plane, trying to fit that everywhere, y'all are ridiculous.
That would actually be sick, man. If it was
great.
fully interactable in the Veveverse and you could fly it around, that would make it literally, I think, the single most coveted item out of every item. Because to just be able to do that and flex and like look down on people that are driving their Ecto ones, and it's like, bye. Like, oh man, that'd be crazy.
You peasants with your ultra rare Ecto one that has sound. Yeah, that'd be great. I don't know. If you ever play Wii Resort?
Yeah.
Where they have this, so the one where you're in a plane, you have to pop all the balloons and like collect all the.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it just seems like that. Like that was a really fun game. I gotta play that again.
Throwbacks, and that's a great thing, man. Like all these throwbacks, like it just reminds you. You know what I mean? Like it just makes you feel like a kid again. I saw someone in the chat mention that like it's literally addictive. Like seeing these collectibles, seeing these prices rise. Like it's literally like it just gives you like a dopamine hit, and you're just like, I need more. Like it doesn't matter how much I have, I need more.
Yeah. I was talking about that yesterday, where when I used to get $5 allowance when I was a kid. I got very lucky. $5 allowance parents give me, and that's how much it costs for a pack of Pokemon cards. And they would see me every week going by, and they're like, "Don't you you have enough?" I'd fill like 3 binders. Or I'm like, "No, that's never enough. I want them all." Like little 8-year-old Chavez, like, I need them.
But it's funny because not only did you turn that fandom that you were into a kid, and I mean, Pokemon was a huge craze, but like you took it that step beyond, and you almost, I mean, in essence, made a career out of it. Like I mean, you became, known in that community as someone who had high-end collectible. And I mean, like think about now, like that hobby that you had as a kid, and now you're selling like a single card for $15,000, $20,000, $30,000. Like that's crazy. You know what I mean? And one day, like people that are just having fun with these collectibles that maybe don't care about Omi, that don't care about all this noise in the back end, they just enjoy their collectibles. Like these will be worth a lot of money one day to a lot of people. And that's the great thing about collecting is you create that scarcity, you create that brand recognition, and people will buy it. And it's super exciting.
Yeah, I love the pureness of it. Like I love and I was so glad my parents were watching this at the time. There was a episode of Everybody Loves Raymond. It was like late 90s, early 2000s. And this, and you knew they wrote it just because of Pokemon. Ray's daughter is obsessed with these new monster type thingies. And he's like, it's like, "Oh, hey, Allie, I know you really like this card, but I know this card, it's $100. Is that the reason why you like this card?" And she said, "No, it's because I love him." And I was like, that's it. Like kids don't care about that. Kids just like, they're cool and they're awesome and they're fun to be around. And that's like the purest aspect of it. And that's what I love, that you just want them because they're awesome. But yeah, I was going over it this morning with a buddy of mine. It's like 3 a.m. and a little less sleep. Elon Musk has just said, and I owe most of what I have to Pokemon, like most of like my finances to Pokemon. But the reason why I did that was because of a Lucy trip, and where Elon Musk was just asked, "Hey, what do you think about psychedelics?" And he's like, "I think people should generally be open to psychedelics." Where I don't think you could become that innovative, and I wouldn't have gone all in on Pokemon if I had not been under the influence of Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. Do you think that there's a chance that because of how innovative, again, thinking about NFTs where there were no NFTs, do you think there's a chance that David and Dan one day, like 4 years ago, were just like, "Let's trip together," and then they just thought of this crazy thing? Like, how else would you think of it?
You know what? It's so interesting that you say that. And I feel like it's definitely a possibility, but it's crazy. Like you think about any invention that has changed the world, and a lot of them, you look back on it, and you're like, it was so obvious. Like, how did we not, like, collectibles have been a thing forever. The internet has been a thing for 20 years. Why is it just now that we're saying, hey, let's collect things on the internet? You know what I mean? And then like for thousands of years, no one created the tire. And then it's like, oh, we created this wheel thing. Like, oh, this makes sense. It's a circle, it rolls. And then like Ford came along and was like, hey, we can build an engine to power a vehicle. And then it completely changed. And then like the Wright brothers with flying a plane, like we saw birds flying for millennia. Like, why did we just, and like, it all seems so obvious when you look back on it. And I think we're going to, you know, there'll be things that we'll look back on even about this. And we'll say like, oh, why didn't this happen sooner? Like this was so obvious. And that's why I've put so much of my money and time and effort into Ecomi as a company, because I understand that Dan, David, Alfred Kahn, and the rest of the team are like light years ahead of like anyone else's thinking, not just in our space, in digital collecting, in cryptocurrency, but in the world. Like they were doing this at a time when literally no one else in the world was like, hey, this is a thing, outside of maybe like CryptoPunks and CryptoKitties, but no one really knew what they were. But they came up with this idea, hey, why don't we combine our passion in collecting with the internet, which everyone is using, and create this whole concept. And they're rolling out ideas like it's crazy. Like sometimes they'll mention like, hey, we're doing this, or hey, we worked on this, or like, hey, like the collectibles that they're releasing right now, like they've come up and said several times like, yeah, we worked on these like a year ago and they're just coming out now. So like, and then Trevor put out a tweet the other day and he's like, yeah, we're working on over 200 collectibles right now. You know, it's crazy because you're like, well, even if you released, you know, 10 collectibles a week, that's like 6 months worth of content right there. Yeah. And, you know, and they're constantly working on that. They're improving their pipeline. They're improving the quality of the NFTs. Like we've seen it even from the beginning, like the quality of the NFTs every single week they release it, the quality on them, you look at them in AR and it's like, oh my gosh, like, you know, they're not missing limbs. The limbs are attached and all this stuff. But it's, yeah, it's crazy what they must have been thinking and what they must have been doing when they came up with it. But, I think they, along with everyone else in the community that has been a part of it, is going to be handsomely rewarded because of it. And I am very thankful to them because this is literally a once in a lifetime opportunity, in my opinion. So,
yeah, same. Have you ever heard of Alluvium? I know what that is.
Yes, I have. And okay. Dark NRG and Lori Walking Feather, who are two members of the community, I talk with them regularly about Alluvium. They're big on Alluvium. I know a couple content creators have made. I think Kyle Wilson and
I think Taps did also.
Taps and I think Poor Man did it, and I think a couple other people made some content on Alluvium. I mean, it seems like they have a good thing going for them. I am personally not invested at this time. I know some people are making. At least apparently, according to them, are doing well in regards to the staking that Alluvium offers. And it seems like they have a finite supply of, I think there's only like 10 million ILV tokens or something. There's not a lot. And I mean, it definitely, I think right now it's about between $500 and $600 or whatever, but it definitely has some room to grow. I mean, people hear that number and they're like, oh, it can't go any higher, right? But when you understand a market cap, it's like, yeah, no, it definitely has room to grow. Yeah. You know, I'll debate it. Like once, you know, if OMI hits 5 cents in the next 6 months, I might liquidate 1 million OMI and look at, you know, diversifying a little bit more. But right now, I'm so afraid. I'm so afraid to sell any of my collectibles, any of my OMI, because I know one day I'm going to wake up and we're just going to go, whoo, and I'm going to be like, I'm glad I didn't. So
yeah, that seems to happen while I'm sleeping. Like it, bubbles went from like 3,400 to $7,000 and like five. Because at like 2:30 when I went to bed, she was like $3,500, and then when I wake up, like it's 7,000. Like, what happened? How long was I out for? It was only a few hours.
Do you think that we will ever get notifications? I know Omi the Clown, shout out to Omi the Clown, made a fantastic website, Ecomi Wiki, which is great. It has the backend API. It tells you the floor of collectibles and whatever. Do you think we'll ever get to a point where we'll have, you know, similarly to on my Trust wallet, when I get a notification that a currency that I follow is up or down a certain percent, do you ever think that we'll get notifications like, hey, Donnie is up 8% on the day, or Bubbles is up or down, and then those notifications would lead you to be able to like buy those collectibles because they will be minted on the blockchain? Like, do you think we'll ever see that?
Yes, and what I plan to actually bring up in the next AMA is that, you know, outside of literally spending all your time on the app, I don't think it would be that hard to code, like to say where eBay says like, hey, here's something that I'm looking for. Anything with the term Blaine's Charizard First Edition PSA 10. When that is listed, I get a notification that one of them is listed. So I think that if they have something, let's say if you're part of that Professor Utonium gang, it's like, I want to know when one is listed. If it's something cheap, that is a lot lower than everything else. I'm going to go and snipe it up.
Yeah.
I think that would be really good to get. And again, when something is sold, the same thing. You get a notification. This sold. Sorry. I feel like that's not too hard to.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Because I mean, we can get push notifications from the app anyways. Yeah. So it's just about taking the backend API and then, like you said, entering search parameters and saying like, hey, I want it between this and this, and I want a notification if it happens. Yeah, I think it will. And at the very least, if they haven't thought about it and you're listening to this, consider it, because I think it'd be a great feature.
Yeah, I think that'd be great as well. So a lot of people are pumped about the Carnage drop. Were you a Venom, Carnage, Toxin fan when you were younger?
I was a fan of characters, but I was never big on like reading comics or collectibles. So like I would watch like cartoons, on Saturday mornings, and watch like animated series and things like that. So I'm not a nerd when it comes to knowing all the lore surrounding all the characters and stuff, but I knew just from looking at the cover, I was like, this is going to be dope and it's going to be worth a ton of money. Like, I'm very simple that way. It's like, ooh, this look nice. I buy, I hold, but yeah, it's, I'm guessing you were pretty big on it though.
Yeah. Cause I like Spider-Man and I like Venom and my likeness spawns from like weird stuff. I love Spider-Man, the animated series in the 90s, but what I really loved on Friday nights, I used to be on this bowling league, and I would get there like an hour early, and they had this Marvel vs. Capcom that, like arcade game, and I would be Iron Man, Venom, and War Machine. Iron Man and War Machine pretty much the same. They both have the proton cannons, but Venom was one where you stand up and then you suddenly your enemy's in like a cocoon, and then you hit him like 8 times. It's like, oh, it's awesome. You paralyze your enemy for a little bit. And then I just got obsessed. I learned the lore, and it's really weird how I actually didn't see the first Venom movie with Tom Hardy, but I might see this one just because I like Carnage. What happens is that the Venom symbiote comes from space. Nobody really knows where it is, and I don't know how they explained it in the Venom movie, but in the actual lore, he gets attached to Spider-Man. It mutates, and then when it gets attached to Eddie Brock, that's how he becomes like more powerful, or at least a little more powerful, because it attached to Spider-Man first, and then in the comic books, Eddie Brock, Venom, he gets taken to prison, and he's separated from a symbiote. And his symbiote comes in, breaks him out of prison, and it's epic. And then his cellmate, which is I forget his name, something Cassidy, he gets a little part of it in him, and he becomes Carnage. And he's like a legit like serial killer. He goes and it's awesome.
Wow. Pretty amazing. Yeah, that sounds pretty dope. Yeah, I just know that a lot of people seem to be. I usually take community sentiment now, and I'm like, what is the rest of the community thinking about this? And like, I can always tell when like the community is like, yeah, this is a big one, and you start to hear more hype and more retweets about it and things like that. So, yeah, it's exciting. People are saying the app's back online. They're not noticing any changes, really.
I just looked at it. I'm not noticing anything either.
Okay.
Like I don't see. There's no new drop down. Like it's still digital comics, digital collectibles. There's no master collector program thing over there.
I mean, it could just be that they need to take it down while they're moving the collectibles over, right? Like as they're like they don't want transactions happening while they're converting the collectibles from Go20 to ERC20 on the blockchain. Maybe I'll pull up while we're talking. I'll just pull up the ether scan for Veve and see if it's popping off at all. See if there's a lot of minting and stuff going on in the background. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. What I think, I don't know if that had anything to do with Immutable either. Like, hey, now put all your coins on the app, and now it's good to go. I mean, I know they did say that would take a couple of weeks, if not a month. When Kangon's thought, did you see the other day that massive giant people they bought up all the Catwoman, then they bought up all the Batgirl, then they bought up all the Ecto ones. Did you see where that originated in like a Discord or a Telegram group?
No, I have absolutely no idea. I thought it was very interesting that was happening because I was just seeing notifications on my phone and it was like, hey, this has been bought up. Hey, this has been bought up. Oh, hey, now this is happening. And I was like, what's going on here? I think people are very much now recognizing that completing sets may play a large role in whatever Master Collector program information comes out. I think it may be a multiplier or a bonus point level that you get for having a certain amount of sets. So I think people are starting to look at now, hey, what is the least expensive items that I can purchase to either hold collectibles just to have a collectible number that might be good for getting points, or, you know, what sets can I complete the cheapest? So I think that's why you're starting to see, you know, the sets that maybe were cheap before are starting, like the Star Treks and stuff that were cheap, and the Toki Tokis and the Murmurkonos or whatever, like they're starting to pump up there. So
yeah, I mean, just when I also said, hey, there's going to be stuff, some points are going to be on the Master Collector program where how many collectibles you have. So you see a bunch of people bought up a bunch of Steve Rogers. It went from like $12 to like $25 because like 300 of them were bought.
Yeah.
So I have wanted to do that as well, but I also, cause I know that'll give you, that would look pretty awesome as well. Like if you remember the game Pikmin, you know, you could have like only a certain amount of Pikmin to fight these enemies.
Yeah.
What if there is something like that, like a Warring Worlds? Like, hey, you're going to get a piece of the loot if you all work as a team and you defeat this one boss, and it's going to be a lot easier for you to get a bigger piece if you have 500 collectibles to just throw at the guy.
Yeah.
So
I think at the other time too, like people, like I think people are like, that was technically an FA, right? So like I think people,
yeah, that's also true.
like at the end of the day, like for $13 or $14 or whatever it was, like if you load up on 100 of them, like that still only costs you $1,300, and now you own 100 of them. So you know, who knows what they go to one day? Like even if they go to $50, like you're 4xing your money, right? So I think it's just, you know, similar to how people were buying hoverboards up when hoverboards were really cheap. I think it's just people are speculating that things may have value in the future. And I don't think they're wrong. I think any collectible that's been released up until this point will only become more scarce or rare as time goes on, because we're going to continue to onboard new users. And as we onboard new users, more money will come into the space, and the collectible prices will, or at least they should, in theory, increase. So
yeah. Yeah, I am. I just bought the Thing, because the Thing is, you know, $14. So I just bought one of him. I had one of him eventually already, but I just realized I actually only have $8 left in my account. And I need tomorrow's drop, so that's all I'm getting for right now.
There you go. Well, that's good enough. You can get one $7 one, pull the secret rare, and then you're good for a few weeks.
Yeah. So. Arrow Rowlet says thoughts on Murmurkonos, still pretty cheap. So these two. And then some of this also, I got a couple of people wanted to rent out space on my fridge, and I was like, they're like, you know, I'll give you like a Murmurkorno, and I'm thinking like, well, I'm not going to rent it out for like $12, like, but I won't rent it out for like the ultra rare, you know, give me a Tropicana, and at the time Tropicana was $50, and then it was $60, and then it was $80, and now they're $100. I don't know if that had anything to do with me or if just people just are viewing them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Murmurkornos, the Unicornos, and the Cryptkins are stuff that's, well, maybe I guess not the one that has, because the Unicornos, that Ritmo is like $2,000 now. It's like $2,500.
Yeah. Well, and even the Cryptkins, the Cosmic Cthulhu is like $700 now.
No, it's not.
Oh man, it's like $600 or $700. I think I'm looking right now. Yeah, it's crazy. Oh man, it's nuts. Yeah, because I bought the set like a month or two ago, and I was just going through the value of it. And hold on, I'm pulling it up right now.
Oh my god, $690.
Yeah, $690. Yeah, it's like $700 for the floor. Yeah, it's crazy because I bought it obviously after the drop. I bought it for $230, and I was like, is this kind of speculative? Like, what is this thing? And yeah, I've 3x'd on it, but I'm not selling it because I need the set. So.
Planet Vampire's thinking of going into work on his vacation next week because he just gets 5 GE connecting sitting in a restroom stall.
Hey man, it'll, if you get the drop next week, it'll more than pay whatever day you had off on your vacation, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So not a bad idea. Not a bad idea.
Yeah, no, easily. Did you sell your Spider-Man Secret Rare? Did we go over that?
Goose, what are you doing to me, man? So I've told the story before. I'll tell it again because I know, I think any credibility that I maybe had in the community might be gone after this one. But yeah, I got the secret rare Spider-Man Ultimate Animated on the drop for $400. It went up almost immediately to 3,200. And because I'm a diamond hander, I was like, I'm not selling. You're not getting it before 5 figures easy. And went down to 2,700, went down to 2,400, went down to 2,100. And I was like, okay, what's going on here? Like, do people know something that I don't? Like, maybe I shouldn't be buying, or maybe I shouldn't be holding this thing anymore. Then it went into 1,800. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I started to talk to my wife. I'm like, do we make a mistake here? What's going on? And it went all the way down to 1,600. And I was like, no, like I need to get rid of this thing. Like this is, I don't know. And it was just like a moment of like, it wasn't even like FUD or doubt or anything. It was just in general incompetence. And I was like, oh, like I'll list it for 1,600. Like it's clearly not going to sell, but whatever, I'll like hold it there. And it sold in like a minute. And I was like, that doesn't feel right for some reason. And then I was like, whatever, because it went all the way down to all the way down. It went down to 1,400. And then I used that to reaffirm my position. I was like, smart businessman. And a month later, it's now $8,000. So needless to say, when I tell you to hold, it's from experience because I've made those mistakes.
Okay. Well, another question for you. Do you agree the Ecomi already has the Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh licenses? David said only 20% of their licenses have been revealed so far.
Yes. I think 20% is thank you very much for the question again, by the way. I appreciate the support. 20% is very conservative, in my opinion. So when they released their kind of white paper article, everything, like when they first came out in February and they were like, hey, whatever, we have over 100 brands and licenses. That 20% is based on that 100 number. We know from AMAs that have come up in the past that both David and Reese have said ever since they announced the Marvel license, they've essentially had licenses and brands who either they spoke to originally that were kind of on the fence that weren't sure about it, or brands that they never even spoke to that are now knocking on their door going, hey, can we partner with you? This seems like a good idea. I would be shocked if the number was under 200. That's just my opinion. And now remember, alone, Disney has like 50 to 100 separate IP just in Disney, right? So if you believe, and I do anyways, that if we have Marvel, we have Star Wars. We saw an article come out the other day saying, allegedly confirming that we had Star Wars. We've seen the artwork that was sent in to the US Trademark Association back in 2018 that included Marvel on their main screen. We know obviously we have Marvel now. We also saw a Star Wars pod racer as a collectible on that image. Why would you mock up a pod racer with the image that you had for Marvel if you didn't have Star Wars? Like it just doesn't make any sense, especially on a trademark document. Like you would never ever do that. So yes, I believe that they have Star Wars. I believe that they have Marvel. We've seen speculation that they may also have Cars, which is Pixar, which is owned by Disney. You don't have all the subsidiaries of Disney if you don't have Disney. Like it just wouldn't make sense. So with that in mind, with just that alone, I think we have over 200 licenses, and I am confident that Pokemon, I would say Yu-Gi-Oh as well. I can't be as confident, although Alfred Kahn, I believe, may have had a role in that as well. But I mean, you don't bring pocket monsters from Japan in the 1990s, rebrand it to Pokemon, make it into one of the most, if not the most highest grossing franchises of all time, and then not remember who got you there. The Pokemon company is not dumb. They know that Alfred Kahn is the reason that they are where they are today. And Alfred Kahn just needs to knock on their door and go, hey guys, remember how I made you this rich before? I'm about to make you even more rich now. And they'll go, okay, yeah, that makes sense. So yes, to answer your question, I do believe that we have the Pokemon license. The reason that it hasn't been announced, in my opinion, is Pokemon is the peak, essentially, of licensing. And you're not going to announce that to 700,000 users. You're going to announce that to 7 million users. So they're building up the fan base. They're testing all of the back ends. They're testing blind boxes. They're testing different formats, making sure the secondary market's in place, making sure all the licensing's in place, making sure that they're migrated over to a blockchain that can handle secondary market sales. And then I would imagine maybe Q1 or Q2 of next year, we will hear a Pokemon announcement.
Yeah. And then I think when asked about certain thing that David didn't have. He said like, no, we didn't have that particular license. So if he doesn't have something, he'll let you know. But if he's saying like, oh, if he's just skirting around the question, avoiding it, if he didn't have it, he would probably let us know. And he's not. So he's not saying no. So.
We just talked about this. I just got a notification from Veve saying saved item available. Dragon Girl Silver has been listed for sale. Did we not just talk about that 10 minutes ago? Did we not just say? It just popped up on the home screen. I guess for some reason I had saved Dragon Girl as an item that I was curious in, and it literally just notified me that a new one was posted on the market.
Oh, all right.
We just talked about that. How it would be cool if they notified us when items were put on the market.
That is a
man. Are they? Can I put my tinfoil hat on? Are they? What is going on here? Yo, that's nuts.
See, that's
so
what
it doesn't say the price. I don't think. Let me click on it. What happens?
All right. So my theory with that is that we are in a simulation, and as they were doing the update, the people that are controlling our avatars, like, oh, let's update everyone in the vicinity. I don't know. I can't explain it. We just got caught in the update, and that's why it flew into our minds.
Yo, because I guess I have it bookmarked, right? Like in the left-hand corner. So this one just went on the market, and it just notified me that this one was posted in the market. So guys, test it out. Bookmark a collectible that you're interested in that's likely to get listed. The bookmark is just that gray button in the corner or whatever. Bookmark a collectible, and when it gets listed, let me know if you guys get push notifications to your phone that it gets listed. Because that'd be sweet. Like, but like I didn't realize I had either. It must have been a misclick, honestly. But that would mean like you said, for super rare items like the Donnie, or if you really want like a Marvel's #1 comic book and you want to be the first one to know that it gets listed, you could bookmark it, and then the second that it gets listed, you would get a push notification to your phone that it's been listed, and you could snipe it up immediately.
I am going to put push notifications for everything.
Oh my god, your phone is literally going to shut down with the amount of collectibles that are going to get posted.
Also, Harley Quinn, Stephen Pugh, that one just went up to 10 grand. That was a $10,000.
I remember seeing it at like 4K, and I just don't have the financial.
Yeah,
like I don't have the means to buy it, but it's crazy to look at where it was and where it's going and be like, gosh, I remember looking at Big Barda and Starfire when they were like $800 to $900 and they completed a set. And I was like, yeah, but $800 to $900 to complete a set. Like, is it really that important? And then Dan comes out and makes all of his announcements and it's like, oh, now they're 2.5K. Like, lesson learned. So,
actual chance of winning huge every time. Agreed. So there is for Comic-Con next week. What are you expecting? What are you hoping? Do you think that the Comic-Con exclusives that we had from July from San Diego Comic-Con, do you think those will pump as we're getting basically a season or series 2 of New York Comic-Cons? So that's what I'm hoping.
Yeah, I always see series 1s of a specific item pumping when a series 2 comes in. I mean, we know that Frank Kozik Labbits is confirmed for this Saturday. So I would expect to see the series 1s pump even further. On top of that, we already know that Frank's been very vocal about being willing to have his items sold on OpenSea. Yeah. So when you have both of those in mind, people are going to go, wait, I can get a collectible at retail that is now going to be available on OpenSea, and it'll be worth even more than it would normally been worth if it was just being sold on the Veve app. There's going to be a huge amount of competition for that, in my opinion. And then for the actual Comic-Con event itself, shout out to Hello K. He does nightly updates about kind of everything that's going on in the community. He put out a video last night talking about a space that Alex Gonzalez, who's the marketing person responsible for Veve, was in. And Alex said that we're expecting 5 comic book drops specific to the Comic-Con exclusive that week. And on top of that, a few physical collection drops. At least one of the comic book drops, he said, is going to be time sensitive. So it may be similar to Lucky. They may just like randomly post it in the app 15 minutes beforehand, and if you're paying attention, you'll get it. So yeah, I'm expecting maybe a new licensing announcement. I could see them. I know David in the Chinese AMA a couple weeks back said within the next month they were going to be announcing a partnership with a Japanese gaming licensor. So I know that there's been some speculation that we might see Mario Brothers. I could see them announcing that at Comic-Con or Dream over that time, even though they're not technically participating in it. Yeah. And then we might also see that second half of the James Bond collectible coming out. And then it's hard to say. It's hard to say what else would come that would be Comic-Con exclusive. Maybe some more Mondo posters, because we haven't really seen anything like that. We know that they had the partnership with Bill and Ted, and we haven't seen Keanu Reeves or anything in his likeness.
That's true.
Jurassic Park hasn't come out yet. We are expecting that. And Ito as well, which hasn't been released, that we know was supposed to be released in season 2. We know season 3 starts October 15th. So they're very quickly running out of time to drop Ito.
I think that might be Saturday.
You think so? Yeah. So I see one of those 8 things, and then if not more. And I think we will burn easily over $1 billion Omi, because we have, I think we have 7 drops or something confirmed on top of whatever surprises they do. I mean, we'll easily burn $1 billion Omi, which is just incredible.
Yeah, no, I think so too. So I have a message up here that Alan Thomas says, we can now buy gems with PayPal credit. So for some people, they have an extra $5,000, like their line of credit. Like, even if you don't have any money in PayPal, no money in your account, hey, would you like to pay for this with PayPal credit? And it is 0 interest, I think, up to 6 months. So you could pay that back, as long as you pay back within 6 months, you don't pay any interest on it. Now, not financial advice, but if, let's say I have no money, I pretty much do, and I could pay for something with PayPal credit, even if it is a $4,000 item, most likely in 5 months, where I have a month before I have to pay it back, I can sell that item for probably double of what I pay for it. Like, minimum. Yeah. No way I am not utilizing this right now.
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean this in the nicest way possible. You're such a degenerate, and I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it, man. You're nuts. You're like, you're borrowing money from friends to buy more Omi tokens. You're like, hey, here's a great idea. I can just borrow a bunch of money on credit. Like, why not? Oh God. I mean, you're right. If it's 0%, that's something. Yeah. Oh God. Hey, thank you, Alan, for that information. I think you just made PayPal very happy for a lot of people that aren't paying those items back, because people are just going to keep accumulating more and more. But I mean, what I would say to that is that's a good idea in principle. Just be mindful, if you are going to do something like that, the MTL is not in effect, right? So just be mindful that you may be able to buy gems with PayPal credit, but you may not be able to convert them back into fiat afterwards. So I might actually look into that as well, because it's not a bad idea. And I know my wife is tired of listening to me on live, so she probably won't hear this. So maybe it'll be a way to keep it off of the books for a little while. So not a bad idea.
Yeah. Like I said, I paid a part of my friend back partly this week. On Monday, I got a little bit of money. It was like $500 out of the, I don't know what, like 15 grand I owe him. So yeah, it's so I slowly but surely, he knows I'm good for it.
Hey,
Rip Curl says, at 107 million Omi, if we hit 5 cents this year, that's 5 million. God knows if we hit crypto winter next year, will you risk it and not take profits in December? I will take a little bit of profit in January, but it's just going to be enough to fuel my lifestyle for the next year. But that's it. And I'm not going to spend like, oh yeah, it's 100,000. No, I'm going to limit it to like 30 or 40,000. What about you? Are you going to?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're in a little bit of opposite ends of the spectrum when it comes to having Omi to burn. And literally, right? Like, I mean, I have 14 million Omi, you have 107 million. So, I mean, you got 93 million extra Omi to kind of do what you want with, and you'd still only be in the position that I'm in now. So I think for you, I think you mentioned on a couple lives that you're planning on looking at getting a place in Florida with your female friend there, and just kind of living frugally off of things until Omi continues to go up. I think for my purposes, I will be likely looking at selling a small percentage to pay off my initial investment. I'm not interested in taking profits at this point. I don't think it's necessary for me personally.
Yeah.
So I think I will maybe sell, like if we hit 5 cents, I'll maybe sell 5%. And, that should be enough to pay off my pretty much all my initial investment. And I think I would be comfortable with that and then kind of see where things go. I'm really going to gauge it on, and I do very much mean this. Like Omi, a lot of people joke that it's a stable coin because it really doesn't do a lot. It's pretty stable. I think people are very much underestimating the forms of utility that are coming and the price catalyst that we may see based on them. Like I think Omi to land, Omi to NFT, the money transmitter license, and the staking and master collector programs are going to be like, I'm not going to go too crazy. We'll wait until the articles come out at the end of the week to know for sure.
But you're thinking bear proof, like this.
Like I'm thinking if they offer some pretty solid incentives to stake your Omi tokens. I mean, you've come out and said that you would stake, easily 1 to 2 million Omi a week for a year, like to offset it so that it's all constantly coming up. I would stake easily 80% of my Omi, no question asked. And I'm sure that there's a ton of people who are also whales that would also stake their tokens, because if you stake 1 billion tokens and you own 2 billion tokens, you still have 1 billion tokens that are available to sell. You know what I mean? Like it's not like, oh my God, you're losing out on money. Like that's not the premise of staking. The premise of staking is that it benefits all holders because it reduces the circulating supply, which then in turn should, in theory, increase the value of each token. And then on top of that, if you are staking, you're also earning rewards for the items that you are staking. So realistically, it's a win-win. And I see a ton of people staking their tokens or utilizing them on the Veve app for buying land or buying NFTs. We could literally go in the next 3 months parabolic. And I don't like to be a moon boy, but I also understand that to me, it's not a moon scenario. It's literally just all the catalysts coming into play with the tokenomics. And there's absolutely no reason, with the interest that we already have in the space and with the interest that we're going to continue to accrue over time, that this token can't do some unreal things.
Yeah, and to his point, like, it's going to be hard to see 5 million go down the drain. But literally, like, at some point last year, I thought I was going to go broke because all my aging receivables, that I gave to business owners I thought were never going to come back. Thankfully, some of them did. I made some good stuff, but I've been poor as close as last year. So like $5 million, or back down to, if it loses 80%, go from 5 cents to 1 cent, still $1 million. I'm okay with that. Like I can also, like, just because I have that doesn't mean I'll ever have that in my account. Right. The $40,000 I might liquidate just to live off for the rest of the year. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to. It doesn't affect my lifestyle. It's not like I'm going to go from living in a high rise in New York City to like, oh, now I got to go back to this one bed. Like, it's going to be the same thing. But then we have Amo Memidovic saying, it seems that Omi is the investment opportunity of a lifetime, and we're on the precipice of massive growth, like you said. Count your blessings that you're here right now and that you see the vision. #blessed. Yeah, I still don't think there's still a part of me that is just like, I can't believe I got this lucky to find this amazing project this early. There's still a small part of me that thinks I'm going to wake up like, oh man, what a great dream. Like literally to have millions of dollars like within reach. Yeah. I mean, I know you're probably thinking something similar.
It's my wife, like, she's very conservative she's been extremely supportive. Like, for the amount of money that we've put in, I have to say I'm extremely lucky that we have the type of relationship where I can go to her and say, because it's our money, right? Like, hun, I want to go all in on this with our money. I truly believe in it. And for her to be like, I believe in you enough and I support you and your understanding and believe in the team's vision enough that I'm willing to do that with you. So I mean, I count my blessings every day that I'm in the position that I'm in, regardless of where this goes. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I always have to remind myself and pinch myself that, like, even if, and to me, this is like absolute bear case scenario. Like, we're talking like, I don't even know how it would happen, but I'm just going to say, for argument's sake, if Omi never went beyond 5 cents ever, right?
Yeah.
Like let's say in 2025, Omi's 5 cents, and it's like, wow, that really didn't do what we thought it was going to do.
Yeah.
I still become mortgage free by 35.
Yeah.
So now I get to live the next 20 years of my life while working. Yes, not retired, unfortunately, whatever. I still get to live the next 20 years of my life without a mortgage, which means I have more money to go on trips with my family, to create memories, to put money aside for my kids, for their educations, for their futures. To me, that's the absolute worst case scenario. I know we throw around, 50 cents, $1, $2, whatever. That to me, like 6 cents, like that is to me 5, 6 cents is like absolute worst case. Like everything went wrong and it still went up to that price. So for me, like I'm just absolutely blessed and grateful to be able to be on this journey and be able to interact with so many awesome people in the community. I mean, I would have never met you if I had never been a part of this community. I would have never met so many amazing people that I get to chat with on socials and stuff. So, I mean, outside of the money, yes, it is the investment of a lifetime. And I truly do believe that, but sometimes it's not just about the money, right? And I saw a very interesting video that Graham Stephan, who's a part of Millennial Money, he and Andre Jick did a couple of videos with, for those of you that know the Doge father, or the guy that went all in on Doge. Yeah, he invested like $188,000, which, I mean, relative to Randy is not all in, but I mean, he went all in on Doge, which I guess technically is a far more speculative coin. And Graham and Andre were trying to convince him to sell when it was like 2.1 million, and he had 2.7. And Graham brought up a great point. He's like, to your lifestyle, what is the difference between 2.1 million and 2.7 million dollars? On if you're living the same lifestyle that you're living now. And so to Randy, I would say that same thing to you. I mean, yeah, it sucks that you may liquidate 5 million Omi, which may be worth $5 million or more one day. But when Omi's worth $1, you'll still have, even if you've liquidated more, $70 to $80 million. Yeah. Did you need an extra $10 million to, you know what I mean? Like, you live a very frugal, basic life. I don't see you going out buying one Lambo for every day of the week. You know what I mean? Like, I know you're trying to do a lot with charity and philanthropic causes. So, yeah, I mean, obviously you want money for that, and I respect that. But at the same time, like, once you get up to these numbers that we're talking about, like, there's really not that big of a difference between it. You know what I mean? Because you're going to be investing that and you're going to be earning interest on it. So it's really not going to matter. We are very fortunate, Amo, and you hit the nail right on the head for it, for sure.
Yeah. I also think that, again, worst case scenario, it's even if, solar flare happens and I lose all my money and, like banks, all right, well, still in America, I've been to other countries where it is, there's a lot worse places to be poor. And even in America, I was listening to this Jordan Peterson video where he had a client that she had like a learning disability. I mean, she could still function, but wasn't sure what it was. But her mother was like an alcoholic that she lived with. Her mother's boyfriend was abusive towards her and her mother, and it was just hell. And I was like, oh my God. Like, at the end of the day, I don't think, or I hope that none of us are living like that type of thing. Yeah. So even if we lose some money, okay, well, at least we have our wits about us and we can go out and make more money and we can do certain things just to, I mean, just going on what you're saying, I'm definitely 100% blessed. Yeah. Definitely out there. Drop 10 things a week. So yeah, did you ever speak for like drop 10 things a week? I mean, obviously they wouldn't, but they could. I mean, they could probably drop one thing a day, or like you said, months, and they'd be fine.
Yeah. So I mean, to that, what I would say is drop 10 things a week. Well, what are the 10 things that they're dropping, right? If they're dropping 10 of the same identical thing, maybe it doesn't go up in price. But if they're dropping, what you need to remember is, like you say, drop 10 things a week. Well, if we do let's say we do Marvel Comics Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then they have, if we end up confirming, DC Comics Mondays and Wednesdays, well, then you have 4 comic drops a week. That's 4 of your 10 drops right there. Then let's say Tuesdays and Thursdays, they also do a physical drop, and then they do drops on Saturdays and Sundays. You're at 10 drops already. But if they're different price points and different fandoms, I could definitely see it. Like, if they drop NFL PA on the weekend right before football, everyone's buying that. You know what I mean? Like, if they drop something on a Wednesday related to music or something, or on a Thursday or Friday right before you go to the club, like, you're going to be bumping your new whatever before you go to the club on a Friday night. Like, yes, I agree that will these things go up? Well, it depends how scarce they are and how many people are using the app, right? If we stay at 700,000 people forever and it's the same people that are just flipping the same items over and over, well, no, then we're going to hit price exhaustion. People are going to run out of money and people are going to be buying the items. But if you believe that, but if you believe as more IP comes in, that more people are going to be buying collectibles, like we haven't even hit the fandoms that a lot of these items are for. Like, do you think the Trekkies are on here buying the Star Trek collectibles right now? I don't think that they are. Is the entire Marvel fan base on here right now buying? Are the Star Wars people on here right now? We haven't even dropped Jurassic Park. Are they here? Like, there's so many people that are going to onboard onto this app over the coming months and years. It's easy to say now, well, are we ever going to see that growth? But remember, when we started this year, there were still collectibles that you could buy in the marketplace for months that were still available for sale. Now you can't get anything if you don't buy it within a quarter of a second. So,
right. David Rosen's mom says they said in Telegram migration is underway. I guess, phase 1 is rolling out. Hopefully that takes, like 7 to 10 days. Then phase 2, then hopefully by the end of the month, we go for that. What do you think about, I've done this once before. I sold my Journey into Mystery Secret Rare I used that in conjunction with some other funds. I think I sold it. Now I sold it for like 2,700. I know it's like 8K right now, but I sold that so I can get a Harley Quinn at like 4,900. And Harley Quinn may have doubled, even though that one like tripled. I'm still okay with that because at least I got it. I know it's fine. Have you ever sold something to fund others? I know you did with Spider-Man.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, what people need to recognize is that, like, short of, unless you're Henry Pagliuca, who's, buying all of the first editions of all the collectibles and is just like got an unlimited supply of money and can kind of do these things. Like if you're just, an average person who's using the app for, to collect whatever, and you're never going to be able to buy everything for the price that you want to buy it at. So flipping a collectible to free up some liquidity to buy something else is always going to be something that you're going to have to do. And you're just going to have to come to terms with the fact that you're never going to be able to sell at the top. Like if you think that you're selling anything at the top right now, then you don't understand the project and where we're going, because every single one of these collectibles on the marketplace is going to appreciate in value over time. It's, do you need the money now to buy something else? And if you do, and the answer is yes, well, then you sell, because you either need to pay your bills or there's something that came along more that you enjoy buying more, and you're not in it for the money, you're in it for the fandom and you want to buy the collectible. Otherwise, you hold, you have diamond hands, and when the collectible hits a price that you think is acceptable for you to let it go. I had someone reach out to me the other day, and they're holding the Avengers Kang #8 secret rare comic, and it's like $40,000 right now. They're like, "Do you think I should sell?" I said, "Well, do you need the money?"
Yeah.
Well, no, I don't really need the money. Well, then don't sell. Like, like that comic is going to be worth over $100,000 in a few months. You know what I mean? So if you need the money because you need to live, then the answer is yes. If you don't, then the answer is no. Right? Yeah. Like, and then what people need to understand, and a couple of people have brought it up so eloquently, like they say, well, it was $40,000. What happens if it goes down? Well, you paid $7 for it. So is it ever going to go below $7? Like what is the risk to reward here, right? So like, and don't get me wrong, $40,000 is a lot of money to a lot of people. So I'm not saying, $40,000 is nothing to me, you shouldn't sell. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is if you understand the scarcity and rarity of comic books and you understand the popularity of Marvel, then when more people are going to come in, more people are going to buy it and eat up that floor. So, and he agreed with me. He's going to hold it. So I wish him luck. I said one day, 5 or 10 years, you may have 7 figures just based on that one comic book.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I think so too. Did you see that? I think it was Jeremy Aoyang. It was one particular NFT that was a part of called a blue chip stock or blue chip whatever company. And what they did was they sold it. It almost looks like a W, but it also looks like a worm. And it sold for $2.8 million. And you can't even do anything with it. It should take me 2 seconds to find. Yeah, this thing.
Yeah, I remember him pulling that up on your stream when I was watching it there. That's so here, I have a question for you based on that. Okay.
Yeah.
So we know that we're going to be migrating to Immutable. We know that we're going to be able to sell some of the collectibles on third-party platforms, whether it be OpenSea or whatever else.
Yeah.
Do you think that there is a differentiation between one of one collectibles. So like that is a one of one versus a secret rare Spider-Man Ultimate animated, which is, Marvel, it's Spider-Man, but there is 1,000 identical copies to them. Do you think that there is any, like, do you think that that will deter, like, I know that there's a ton of projects that come out on OpenSea all the time that are 10,000 collectibles, but generally to an extent, they're unique in their own right. So all of them are a one of one, and there are 10,000 total editions. Do you think that that's going to play a role at all in people not maybe wanting to pay as much money because they're not the only one that owns it, if that makes sense?
Yes, I would say that there's a couple of people, like let's say that like Henry Pagliuca, that'll just say like, hey, I just want the lowest number I can get, that are genuinely like warm, good-hearted people. It's not just to resell. Not that flippers are cold-hearted, but they just want it to collect, and it's cool, to pass on to their kids, and they'll pay whatever price just because they have the money, and it's awesome. But there will be, I guess, also good for us is that there's going to be some people that are just going to look at, oh, I have, a top 100 or top 200 Spider-Man. You have like 937. Pathetic. Like they're gonna, which again is fun. Anything that breeds competition. But you're right. I think something like the, Bored Apes, whatever, that, that are just one of one. Like there is something about owning unique, one of a kind items.
Yeah.
But also, that's usually not, as far as collecting. There's no unique, one of a kind item, even in Pokemon. Like the
that's true.
Lowest mint number like is a Pikachu Illustrator with like maybe 40 copies out there in the world. And with 40 copies, only like 8 of them are graded, if that. So they're, even with Pokemon, and I think Magic the Gathering too, like the Alpha Lotus, those they're still one of like several dozen.
And for the Pokemon cards, like for instance, we used an example earlier of the Charizard, mint, hollow, whatever PSA. Like, and I don't know this, and maybe you do. Is each individual Pokemon card, like, does it have like a serial number or like for instance, the Charizard, there was only X amount of them produced. Like on each of those cards, is it like number 1, number 2, number 3, or is it just they're out there and they're literally identical in every way without a number on them?
There's no number that says like, oh, this is one of 10,000 or whatever. Okay. That'd be insane. But that would be that. Oh God, that'd be crazy. But there are differences. Even if they're all like PSA 10, like perfect condition, that still leaves a tiny bit of room for whitening, maybe edge wear. It's a little off center. So there are some 10s that are better than others.
Okay.
And then you get to like the really, really minute details where they have the one that's in that first edition stamp where it's all black, but it has a 1. There are people that will pay extra for a 1 that is thicker. Like there's less black ink around the 1. It's called a thick stamp first edition, where the 1, instead of being like drawn with like maybe like a pencil, it looks like it was made with like a mark, like it's a thick 1. And then there's something called where like the printer was like running out of ink and the black looks faded, and it's called a gray stamp. And people like they lose their shiz over that. They're like, oh, is that a thick gray stamp? Like, oh, like as. Yeah, so even though there's no specific label for PSA to say like this is, this is the gray stamp, whatever, they will go real like collectors that are in there. They're gonna. So yeah, that'll happen. So there's no actual mint numbers, but within...
so there's no mint numbers, but like you said, someone may pay more for a 100 versus a 950 just because it's a lower mint relative. But
yeah,
so you think it may have some effect, but you don't think it's going to. Like you don't think no one will be interested, essentially. Like you think it'll still garner interest on OpenSea, like people will still want to buy them even though there's more than one technically. So and
actually I do think this is a little disruptive also, because a lot of stuff on OpenSea, I mean the digital art, whatever, they're from artists paying creating individual things, and there's just nothing like this as has ever happened before. So I think that's just going to be a wave of like, oh, like I can picture like a couple of people, like there's got to be networks, there's got to be Discord chats or whatever, people on OpenSea, and then it's like, hey guys, have you seen this? Like, and maybe they're just not aware of it yet, and once it is, it's it's gonna blow up. It's gonna
For
be
sure.
amazing. And it says making sure the auctions work well. Oh, is that maybe one of the things we were talking about as far as? Oh yeah, he was saying that he wants you have only an hour to pay.
Yeah, he had a couple
That
interesting
was interesting.
takes on the auctions. I think he wanted it. I think in the Japanese or Chinese auctions, I forget what he called it exactly, but they every time you put in a bid, it extends it by 30 seconds as
Yeah, Yahoo
well.
Japan, that happens.
In Japan, yeah. So I mean, I'll be honest, I've never really been someone that's been on the auctions, been bidding on things. So
Yeah.
I can't really touch on my opinions on that because I'm by no means an expert. I would obviously defer to him as a bigger collector, but I think that we need to balance collecting as like a fandom for like the diehards like Henry versus, my mother-in-law who just signed up for the app 3 days ago, who just wants to go on and buy a $7 comic and maybe wants to bid in an auction because it's fun, holding up the placard or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
I think what they'll probably do is do an in-between where, and I think Dan mentioned this, like they're going to give you the option for how long you want to post your auction. So like maybe you post it for 24 hours, maybe you only post it for an hour. Like I think they're going to give you kind of that option as you list an item for auction. I don't know that we'll ever see a situation where if you don't pay in an hour, it moves on to the next person or you get dinged. I do think 3 days is a little excessive. I think they should move it to 24 hours, but yeah, I think the 1 hour is a little much because especially if they use the Japanese system, like, and then like 100 other bids come in or whatever, and then it's the middle of the night, and then you're like, I'm asleep and I missed out on this, and like,
Yeah.
so I don't see them going that far necessarily, but I could be wrong. I could be wrong.
Yeah, no, because like I said, if you're on an aircraft or whatever, it's like, oh, like maybe they should make a note or a setup like, hey, I have enough gems. Just if I'm not around to physically hit the buy button, just take the gems.
Yeah.
So this way you don't, X me out of it.
I do agree. He did say something about needing 10% of the money that you have for a bid in escrow, essentially, in your account. I do agree on that because I think that would prevent a lot of bots and people that aren't serious or who are just putting in troll bids to try and ruin it for everyone else. I do think that would be good because then if you win the auction and you don't pay, you lose that 10% escrow or whatever. Like I think that would be good.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that they're going to continue to do to work on improving the app. I remember I had someone on my live stream yesterday who was a little upset about the comic sorting function.
Mm-hmm.
And I was trying to put it in my tier, in my mind, ranking of priorities. I said, well, would you want to have a better sort function or do you want to be unimmutable with the MTL and whatever? But for him, he said, well, no, like they should have had this figured out before they even released the comic books on Marvel. And I said, yeah, I understand where you're coming from, but at the same time, like it's an iterative process and they only have so many beta testers and people that can test it. They can't possibly account for everything when they first roll something out. And at the same time, they only expected to have 30,000 people and now they have 700,000. Like their priorities of their well-laid plan of what they had for the year is completely gone. Like they're literally flying by the seat of their pants right now. Like Veve released a tweet yesterday, or maybe it was Ecomi, and they said like our team for the next few weeks, and it was a GIF of like one guy on 3 computers just banging around everything because that's it. They're literally chickens with their heads cut off right now. They're trying to appease so many people with all the things that everyone wants to see, and everyone wants it now. They want it today. They don't want to wait, and it's. So I feel for the team a little bit. They must be stressed. So
feel from a lot. Like they're earning every penny that they're making, and I know that. I hope that Reese and Trevor are just getting like whatever they're salaried. I'm sure it's fair, but I hope they get a little bit of production bonus because they're going hard.
Oh,
and they don't have to do like they did a live stream with it was like me, Taps, Cavell, like it's like we were playing games or just talking about whatever. And like they didn't have to do that. They didn't have to go on Women XBV. They could just do the bare minimum with their AMAs, but they're going above and beyond. And it's like, wow, they're doing good stuff.
For sure.
I haven't done this yet because my friends only sent it from his Bit4X where I send the Coinbase to any one of my trust wallets. I do have a little bit of GoChain. Or Go token. Do you know how much it'll take? Let's say to move $1 million.
So how to send OMI to Bit4X from Trust Wallet so we can have our OMI auto transferred. So I have personally done that before. I transferred my OMI from Bit4X onto my Trust Wallet, and then I transferred it back. And you need Go tokens
about
to do it.
How much?
Let me pull up my Trust Wallet right now, and let me see if there's like a transaction history from when I sent it. It was like one Go token, I think. So
Oh, okay. For how much?
yeah, it's like a fraction of a penny to send it. So
Oh, thank God.
it's not a cost issue. What I would say is that there's quite a few people in the community who have come out and said that they're willing to send Go tokens to people to help them out. I have 273 Go tokens right now. So if you need a Go token to transfer from Trust Wallet to Bit4X, send me a message on Twitter at OG_Omi_homie, and I will send you some. I know Robel, who I see in the chat right now, I believe he was giving out some of his for free as well. So big ups to him for doing that. And I'm seeing a couple other people in the chat right now posting that they can give out their Go as well. Guys, big ups to the community, man. I absolutely love seeing people like just jumping on the train, being like, "Hey, let me help you. Let me help you." And I've seen so many people, like even in my live yesterday, like I saw people being like, "Hey, I'll pay you gems for it, no problem." And everyone was like, "No, like it's cool. Like let me help you. Like it's not. This isn't like everyone just wants to see everyone succeed." Like I'm seeing posts on Twitter like, "Hey, I pulled a secret rare comic book," and like it's getting 300 likes from people because people are just so excited for other people's success, and like you don't see that anywhere. Not in the collecting world. Not in any like it's insane. So. Glad to see so many people are stepping up right now and saying, "Hey, I can send people Go tokens." Robel, Omi Child, Kyle, Veve Darklink. Like, thank you so much, guys, for helping everyone out with that. That's awesome.
Yeah, those guys are amazing. I love those guys. Verna says, "Will Lucky skyrocket?" And I think all of the Comic-Con exclusives will, because there's going to be a season 2 of Comic-Con coming out next week, and those Comic-Cons are minimum twice a year if we're doing San Diego and New York. And those will go on forever. Those are never ending. So I think they will. What about yourself?
So I have to put a disclaimer out here because I do own one. So
so do I.
Yeah, I'm a little biased on that. But what I will say is, I mean, I'm on my phone now. I'm just looking at what is the price right now? Why is the market misbehaving with me? I'll look up the price in a second. But last I saw, I think it was like 3.3 or something like that. Yeah, the market's not pulling up for me for some reason right now. But I do think that Lucky will skyrocket for a few reasons that Randy mentioned. Just because it was a Comic-Con exclusive. It was the first secret rare ever released associated with the first ever Comic-Con that, although Veve wasn't technically officially a part of, they were supposed to be. So there's that to it. It completes a set. And so it's a secret rare that completes a set. It is the only secret rare that completes a set, I believe, currently on the app. There's the Superman, which is an uncommon. There's Big Barda, which is an uncommon. And there's Starfire, which I think is like a rare or a common even. So it's the only secret rare that completes a set. And it will likely, before any of the other collectibles that I just mentioned that are one of ones that complete a set, it is the most likely to be available on OpenSea. And that's just my opinion. And I say that just based on the fact that Jermaine Rogers has already been open to the concept of having his collectibles sold on OpenSea, whereas we know that DC and Marvel may have some delays and not be as willing to do it. So yes, I do think that it is undervalued currently, and I do see the price going up. My app finally worked. The cheapest on the market is 3.4K. And it looks like there's about 6 until you hit 4K and about 10 until you hit 5K. So the floor seems to be between 3.5 and 5 right now. But yeah, I could see that doubling in the next month, in my opinion.
Yeah. Sean Hudson says the video game license is 99% a Capcom title. Wouldn't it be great if it was one of those Marvel versus Capcom, like actual? That would be fantastic. Sick. And then also,
oh my god,
yeah, this is Amo Mamadovich says, I'm super excited for all of you. I want you all to be happy. I gotta say, I really like Foster and his thought process. I hope we see more of these collabs. So before you respond to that, the two people that have been requested the most out of all the people that I've podcasted with over the last months has been you and Henry Pagliuca. And you guys just did it like in the last week. So you guys have gotten the most. People seem to love you guys with good reason. I love you guys too. And wow, Amo is, my God.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I need to get my channel to 1,000 subscribers. Apparently, I need to start getting
Get subscribe. Foster Hilt, subscribe.
Yeah, really, dude. That's awesome, man.
I'll come on your live stream next time, and then we'll and then hopefully I'll get you subscribers and
cool, man. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. No, and at the end of the day, like I've always said, all jokes aside, like for me, like I do this because it's fun, man. Like I absolutely love talking to you. I love talking to the community, and I'm just so gosh darn excited about this investment. Sorry, I use Randy Chavez swear terms when I'm talking, because I know he's a little bit more PG than me, so or family friendly, I should say. So yeah, no, Amo, thank you so much, man. I honestly, I really appreciate you saying that, and I really do just consider it an honor. Every day, people tag me, on Twitter. People private message me all the time, and I get back to absolutely every single person because I just love talking about this project. My wife yells at me all the time, why it's family time, why are you responding to the homies? And I'm like, I just honestly, I just love you guys, man. Like it's and the females as well, like everyone. And I guess this is a good point, a good time to mention actually. And Randy, I'm curious what your thoughts are on this, but I am looking at I've contacted quite a few content creators. I'm looking at hosting a Call of Duty live stream near the end of October, similar to how you were involved with Dan DC and Hello K for their live stream. And just getting the community involved. Maybe we'll look at getting some prizes or whatever. So I've reached out. Taps Trade says he's interested. Daniel Lee says he's interested. I've spoken with Cavell Anderson. He said he's interested. I've reached out to the Woman X Veve. They're interested. I've reached out to a bunch of other content creators. I haven't been able to reach out to everyone. Some people just don't have private messages enabled, and I just haven't gotten around to everyone. There's so many fantastic creators in the community. So if any of you are listening right now and are interested in participating, it's for fun. Like doesn't need to be a competitive thing, but the reason I pick Call of Duty is because we can host lobbies of up to 150 people, and it's a free to play game on either PC or console. So most people should conceivably have access to it. And I think it'd just be fun. We could do some live streams, maybe give away some collectibles as prizes. I'm looking at getting people in the Ecomi team available as well. I spoke to Reese. We're going to look at getting Trevor involved. And I just think it'd be a lot of fun. Like we have such a fantastic community, and it's not limited just to creators. So if you guys are in the chat right now, or you're listening to this back and you guys want to participate, like there's room for absolutely everyone. So if you guys want to participate, hit me up on my socials, tag me in posts. I will be putting out more information about it in the coming days, just trying to iron out a specific date that will work for as many people as possible. But is that something you'd be interested in participating in?
Yeah. I would.
You don't own a computer though.
Yeah, so I would need to go to a friend's house, and I would play on their thing, and I'd set up the tablet over here. Like I gotta go back and forth.
We'll make it work. We'll make it work.
It'll happen.
If Amo donates any more money to you, you may just be buying a PC at this point, anyways. So,
yeah,
God, you're crazy, Amo. We love you, man.
Yeah, I was just thank you so much.
Yeah, crazy.
Switching gears here, Henry Pagu was like, "Hey, you guys! Oh,
hey guys!"
That's a great movie. Could you imagine if they did have they had the Goonies as well? They would have. Oh yeah, Marvel vs. Capcom, but yeah, Goonies. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see why they wouldn't. And then that's the thing. Like, you could literally talk about any license, and it's like, hey, I wish that they have this, and it's like they probably do. Dan has come out publicly several times and said, I cannot think of a license that we've wanted to get that we haven't been able to acquire. And respectfully, if just use Pokemon as an example, you don't make a statement like that if you don't have Pokemon, because who in your right mind would believe that you don't want Pokemon? Yeah. So like, come on, like they are kids at a candy store, and they are trying to contain their excitement from everyone else to play laissez-faire. Like, thanks mom and dad for taking me to the candy store. It's fine. I'll only buy a few. Like they are so heckin' excited. I was talking to Reese the other day, and he's like, man, every time that Dan or David sends me something, I just lose my mind, because he finds out obviously before we do, but he doesn't, he's not necessarily in the loop about everything either. Right. So he'll find out something from them, and he'll be like, we're doing this, or we have this. And then they have to keep it a secret. And it's just like, oh man.
Yeah. Apparently David's like a kid in a candy store. Like, he's got to tell everyone. I got a buddy of mine who's friends with them. He's like, and he's like, yeah, he just can't help it. He just can't help it. It's like, oh, look what we got. Look what we did. And yeah, it's He just seems like such a chill guy. Like I know they're so busy. I want to just like grab a beer with him. I just want to be like, "How's it going, buddy? You know,
Yeah.
how you doing, man?"
Tell me everything. Tell me your secrets. Tell me your secrets.
But yeah, so before like they said a Capcom title. Wouldn't it be great if it was like a Marvel versus Capcom thing, or they had something recently where it was like Luffy versus Goku in like a versus like Natsu, like it was like a whole anime type of fighting game. Do you remember seeing ads about that?
So I'm just looking right now because I'm not big on the lore when it comes to like Capcom and like what their license
Mega Man.
contains.
All you need to know.
So
Mega
yeah,
Man.
so it says they're a video game developer and publisher. They've sold video game franchises with most commercially successful being Resident Evil, Monster Hunter, Street Fighter, which, correct me if I'm wrong, is a license that is confirmed on VV already.
Yeah, we do have
Mega
that.
Man, Devil May Cry, Ace Attorney, and Dead Rising are their main licenses. So I mean, if we already have Street Fighter, do you think we have the overall arching brand of Capcom then, like based on that? Because we would have had to have gotten that Street Fighter license from Capcom, similarly to how we would have had to have gotten the Marvel license from Disney, right?
That's
like,
a good point. Yeah, and I mean, if we use that logic, then yes, or at least the ones that would agree to it. Like even though Marvel has, or sorry, Disney kind of has they can use the Hulk in the Avengers movies or Thor
Right.
Ragnarok. Universal technically has the movies rights and they can license it out, but they can't actually make a solo Hulk movie again without the appeal of Universal. So maybe that some of those people, they might hold back and be like, no. But I would think most of them that are under the Capcom umbrella, they probably would be okay with it. It's like, well, you're not gonna beat Veve. You're not gonna go, and so you might as well join them.
Yeah, if you can't beat them, join them.
Yeah, so that's probably it. But again, if we go through that, like, then again, like you said, Disney owns hundreds of IPs. Again, they own ABC Family. So figure if they have that, they could have Sabrina the Teenage Witch. They own ESPN. They could have a lot of those different things. And then MGM has Rocky. They have a bunch of the amazing time. They have the Hobbit series. If we have WB, they have Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings. So I mean, if we're assuming everything like that's working like that, then yeah.
Well, and I feel like that is very similarly to how licensing works in the licensing space, right? Like it is a relative, I don't want to call it a tight-knit group, but it's like the same people know all the same people, right? So if Dan, David, and Al are knocking on people's doors, it's like, hey, Tim, yeah, thanks for the license. And Tim goes and introduces you to Joe, who introduces you to Sally, and then that's how you get all of these licenses.
Yeah,
and it just kind of, exactly. So
my comics will be worth more than all of your Omi. And I can't help but to think if I had taken my, let's say like 400K and just put it all into collectibles, what that would be worth right now. But especially if you put a lot of into comics. But I think a lot of these right now, it's how much. I know they can probably go higher. I think it's probably like 3, 4, 5x. But I think Omi probably not minimum, but yeah, maybe minimum 10x's by the end of the year. So there is something to be said that someone like a Ray Fixie that has done nothing but just buy collectibles and is probably 20 or 30x his money. But what can Omi do? I don't. It's going to be really fun to see the content like that.
And that's it. And I don't want to call the collectibles a more speculative investment than the Omi token. But what I would say is that with all of the utility that will be in place, you're far more likely to ensure that you will consistently gain value with the Omi token. Whereas with the comic books and collectibles, they're not becoming more scarce. I mean, there's that amount, and when the more users come in, but once Marvel releases 1,000 total comic books on Veve, you're relying on someone liking your specific comic book enough to pay an astronomical amount for it. Whereas with the Omi token, you don't need to necessarily rely on people paying an astronomical amount for it, because even if an Omi token is $1 for one token, that's no different than getting a gem for $1. And if you can use it to buy NFTs directly, there is still a value proposition behind using it. And because the token is deflationary, it will always appreciate in value if people are using it. Whereas with the comic books, the more content that is released on Veve, and we talked about this a little bit earlier, it may not, 10 drops a week may not take away from the amount of people that are buying it, but it may take away from some of the higher priced secondary market values, because at the end of the day, there is only ever going to be X amount of money in the pot to go around for all of the collectibles. And we don't know that will ever, depending on how many collectibles are released, that it will be covered. But it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, that's a good point. So Brendan says that the whole market's taking a dump, but I just looked at several of them right now, and they're either the same or more. Like Loki hasn't moved, Harley Quinn has gone up, him's the same. The Spider-Man ones are, or at least the secret rare, that might have gone from 9 to. So I mean, maybe a couple of them are, but for the most part, I think we're holding pretty steady, and that's pretty good. And Captain America went from 3K to 2.8K. So I think that's pretty good, considering that people are going to try to liquidate some of their extras, their multiples, for the new drops that are coming.
Well, and when you have 7 drops coming out in the next week, like I said, like people only have so much money to put into collectibles. So people eventually are going to get to a point where you need to liquidate a collectible in order to buy other collectibles, and that's when you're seeing these floors are being reduced because people need the gems, so they're going to put it maybe a little lower than they would have been willing to otherwise to make sure that they have the money. But now that Randy has found the PayPal credit route, that is no longer a requirement. Raise all the levels. I repeat, raise the levels.
I am looking for a deal. I'm just like, all right, so there's one of the Dragon Girls that I need. Maybe there's a Ghostbusters thing that I can get. Man,
put on those notifications. I've been hit up 4 times now by Veve. They're inundating me with notifications about Dad Bod Batman got posted. And it's like, hey, you showed interest in this. Like, I have to untag some of these things, because apparently anytime you click bookmark, it's going to send you a push notification to your phone if a new one gets listed. Yeah. So you can keep your eye out for some of the collectibles that you're looking for there.
Someone asked before, it's like, hey, should I sell my car for more OMI or more collectibles? And so this guy, Zachary Shade on Twitter, who has about as much, if not more, OMI than I do, about 100 million. He had a Tesla. Like, I sold Tesla stock. He had a Tesla car, sold that for more OMI or for more collectibles. So people do it. If my Honda Civic was worth anything, I would go and try to get, if I could get 1 million more OMI, I totally do it.
Yeah.
But it is not worth that much. It's not worth it for me to try to do that.
Are you at your, if you don't mind me asking, are you at your DCA? What is your DCA for OMI? Do you even know at this point?
Yeah, because I feel like I didn't have, I maybe had 500,000 or a little over, and so when I put 400, maybe in, speculating 400 into OMI and then 45K into what do you call it? The collectibles, it makes sense. Okay, well, I have a little bit in Pokemon left, a little bit of agent receivables that I would have. That's what I put into it. So I think my dollar cost average was probably about 0.004, maybe.
Nice.
On average, maybe 0.003 something, because I have 107 million, not exactly 100. So maybe 0.0036 or 38, something like that.
Nice.
So yeah, it's and now it's worth like 5 something, give or take.
That's awesome.
I don't even know where we're at now. It's
weird. 5.1 and change. I just checked. Well, Brendan was saying the whole market was taking a dump. I checked. I mean, OMI's down a couple percent, but OMI has held over the 0.005 level. It's closed over 0.005 for 12 days in a row. So just remember, guys, like we're very much holding at these levels, and we've consolidated at these levels, which is really good to see. And now we're just waiting for the next catalyst to push up to about our next resistance, which is 0.007. So we will see that rise and push again with, honestly, depending on the announcement that comes out with the Master Collector Program and the OMI Utility article, I could see that being a catalyst that drives the price very, very high.
Wait for that.
Oh man, if they release that article and it's like, it's a bombshell and they're like, Master Collector Program reward XYZ for owning this many collectibles, whatever. Those collectibles, like, I hope you guys are by your phones that day, because you better watch those collectibles skyrocket. For anyone that's listing, below what your collectibles are worth right now, even if it's to speculate to say, hey, I don't know if the floor is actually here, I would be careful, because they're going to get eaten up very quickly. And anyone that is, in my opinion, shorting Omi right now or hoping that it's going to drop down further. If this article gets released about the Omi utility program and it's like solid rewards for staking your Omi, and especially if it comes soon, like if it's like, yeah, right when we migrate to immutable, it's going to be nuts.
Yeah. I just purchased 350. Like if there is people liquidating their stuff really soon, quickly, like because this happened to me the other day when I was getting lucky. One was listed for $2,900. Like I need it, but because this stupid phone will only let me buy 350 at a time, I was like, all right, give me more. And then I did not have I couldn't get it in time, so I wound up somebody listed it for like 3,200. So I got that one, which is fine, you know. But yeah, I did just sell another Pokemon card, so I have to go and yeah, I'm gonna have to go.
Nice.
Gonna try to get even like I think next week 500,000 more Omi. So I'll definitely try that. And then we got Fun Under the Sun. It's like, how much do you think a first appearance Marvel Spider-Man Secret Rare number 43 is worth now? And so that's really
that's the digital collectible, not the.
Yeah, I think it has to be. Geez, I don't know. I didn't even know you could get that that low mint number.
Yeah, I'm looking right now in the worth more than $1,600. I can tell you that much though, from experience. I promise you,
that could be $100,000 in a year.
Yeah,
just because of the low mint number. It's probably the lowest. Let me know what you see on there.
Henry Pagliuca, if you're in the chat, do you mind giving some insight into what you think about that as well?
Yeah, go and so while we're because that Secret Rare Spider-Man, there's only 70.
Okay, so the 45 is the lowest that's listed right now. It's up for 200K.
Jesus.
The 47 is up for 147. And then the 50 is at 39.9, which seems quite low compared to the rest. The 52 is at 100K. And then it's so hard to tell. There's not really I would say the floor for a sub 100 is about 35K.
Yeah.
Which I think is even low at this point. Because yeah, there's one listed at 35 and one listed at 40. And then the cheapest sub 50 that's listed is $147,000. So I would say, I guess conceivably there is a 41 and a 42. So it will be the third most expensive one. But I mean, I would definitely say, you know, right now, a minimum of $50,000. And then, so here's the problem, right? Like, what's it worth and what's someone willing to pay for it? Like that's what you need to ask yourself. And that to me is the biggest issue with the collectibles versus the Omi token when you're looking at a value cost proposition is people will always buy Omi because Omi will always have a utility and use case. Will people always buy the collectibles? Like you'll get to a point where like, is someone going to buy the 43 Spider-Man for $1 million just because it's the 43 Spider-Man? Well, maybe, I don't know, but it's really hard to say value for something like that because the market hasn't found itself for that value because there hasn't been that many of them listed. I think once we move over to immutable and we can start to see the sales transaction history of a lot of these collectibles, we'll start to see like, are these collectibles selling? And we also know that obviously people use escrow and sell off the app as well. So it is hard to dial in on these values, but it's worth a lot. I promise you. You definitely,
Yeah, I would say, that in a year, probably 100K. Somebody was saying before, I can't scroll up, but they said that my 1.1 million, it feels like it's not enough. It depends on where you are in life now, but I still think that gets you $1 million in several years. You know, that'll. So if you said if you can right now, if you can only afford 1.1 million Omi, there's probably a decent chance that you're not liquid for 6 figures. Maybe you're liquid for a couple grand or five, or maybe even 10 grand. But I think that'll be life changing money. 1.1 either way. Even if we don't reach a dollar, even if we're at 50 cents, it's still $500,000 for that person. So I think that was nice. To dispel some FUD though, DC again, that they didn't lose the license. They just DC happened to award another license that was not a premium digital 3D collectible to Palm. They were just they were just saying that here's a additional license that this one can get, and it's not anything else.
Yeah, I think people, and we did touch earlier on in the chat, but for those of you that may be new, and I know we've been live for almost 2 hours here, so I don't know that people may have caught it, but just remember that Veve's licenses are exclusive to the type of content that they produce. So for premium 3D digital collectibles, with Marvel for their comic books, obviously, and whatever collectibles they come out, like the type and format of collectible that they release is exclusive, and that comes directly from Dan Carruthers in AMAs that he's stated previously. That does not mean that other companies are not going to come along and get the same licenses that we have to produce different digital items. There's nothing that says that another company can't come along and get the DC license to produce digital t-shirts or digital placards or what. Like, there's nothing that says that.
Yeah. And
if anything, it's good. Like, honestly, like, it just brings more eyes to the space. So don't look at it as a negative. Look at it as a positive. Like, if we lost the license, then it would say DC has moved from VV Collectibles to Palm to recreate future NFTs. Like, that's not what it is. It's, hey, this specific one-off NFT that they're producing for this designer event is being licensed through them, which is perfectly fine. It makes sense. And then when people realize, hey, these DC collectibles are kind of cool, let me do more research about them online, they'll type in DC and they'll see nothing but VV digital collectibles pop up, and then they're going to be onboarded onto ours.
Yeah, and when you say, I'm just bringing up Caesar just to dispel from FUD, just one quick Google of James Bond NFT. The No Time to Die, the first James Bond film to include NFT collectibles. So please, CC, stop spreading the nonsense. Thank you, Laura, for letting me know. That's what he was on. And Bert the Jerk just giving us $5 hairs just for being a nice guy. So is there any, obviously right now, we're not moon boys, but we're kind of, I guess, leaning half on, half off. What's your biggest concern, though, over the next several months? Like, is there something that, for me, it would be like a pushback, like a delay. Like they said, it maybe Immutable X doesn't happen until December now, something like that. That would be it for me.
Yeah, and I mean, I think we've already seen it. I mean, for those of you that don't know or haven't heard, I believe that Dan recently confirmed that the VVverse has been quote unquote delayed until Q1 or possibly even Q2 of 2022. So I think the biggest concern for, I'll say concern for Veve and then concern for Omi. So I think the biggest concern for the Veve app in gaining retention for people is making sure that the app functions correctly, that has all the features that will drive and engage people on the application, and then making sure they're continuing to release licenses that people care about and will want to buy and engage in. Because as they continue to mass market this app, we'll introduce new people for different fandoms and we'll continue to grow the app. If we don't see any marketing, if we're seeing the collectibles not selling, or we're seeing actual premium licensed 3D collectibles for licenses we thought we had being released on other platforms, I could see that being a concern short term for Veve. One of the issues, if you want to call it an issue from an investor perspective, is when you have your card so close to your chest, you're counting on people's faith in order to continue to grow your project, because it's perfectly fine that they don't want to release all the other licenses that they have. But at the same time, you're depending on us as community members to defend the fudders and the naysayers when they say, hey, but wait, this came up. Hey, wait, the NFLPA has a deal with Dapper Labs. Like, you don't have these licenses that you said you had. Well, they're not going to come out and outright confirm it. So what do you have in the interim? Is it's us with our interpretations of what they have explained, which may or may not be enough for people. So there's that with the Veve, which I think won't be an issue as they continue to release premium licenses and as they continue to announce different partnerships. Last week on a random Wednesday, they released Throg, and then they announced James Bond randomly at 6:30. I was at the dinner table, my phone goes off, and it was just like a random announcement at 6:30 at night. So as long as they continue to do that, I think we'll be just fine. For the Omi token, if the utility of the token continually gets delayed, if we don't see the Omi utility program rolled out for a while, if we don't see the move to immutable or it gets delayed for a while, if the money transmitter license gets delayed and people feel like they can't convert things and whatever. That to me is probably the biggest issue to the project long term. I don't want to call it an issue because I believe these things are going to happen, but I regularly get comments from people on socials that say, see, another 6 to 8 weeks. I told you it's never coming or whatever the case may be. And it's tough. Like, I'd like to see all these things today. I know the team's working hard on it, and I do believe that they are working hard when they say that they are. So it'll come when it comes, and I know that they would rather release, as fully a finished product as they can, that has as little bugs and is as working and functional as possible, than to release the first thing that they can just because they want to build hype and sentiment around it. If they wanted to do that, they could have done it 6 months ago and then pumped and dumped the token and then ran off to the next thing. They're in it for the long haul. I'm in it for the long haul, and we just need to be patient and supportive of the team in the interim.
Yeah, agreed 100%. And they're, I guess, not really. Well, I guess it is something that might be funny to see in the future. Is if you ever see the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, or it's like they're, at least the first one is really good, and I like all of them. But there were the ideas that people had to be a little crazy to make it, because most often pirate movies just never did good. Like maybe like Muppet Treasure Island, with the pirates, that was kind of did okay at the box office. So they were really trying to make a really good movie, and they had to have a lot of outlandish ideas, and it all worked out. But there were a couple of them that were outlandish that I'm kind of glad they didn't put in the movie. Again, I don't know if they were just inebriated at the time, but there was like, let's give Jack Sparrow a backstory where he just doesn't have a nose, and he lost it in a fight, and you would just see Johnny Depp with no nose like the whole time. And I'm like, okay, well, it's probably good that they didn't do that. Dan had said on the Women X Veve that him and Dave have some crazy ideas that we're not ready for yet. And I don't know if that's something where most likely it's just going to be them being really innovative. It's something that's going to be so disruptive and it's going to be great. But I think there's a possibility like, oh, this is weird. Like maybe they might be too ahead of their time, where Marty McFly's in Back to the Future is playing this rock music for everyone in the 50s. Like, all right, a little ahead of your time, but your kids are going to love it.
But your kids are going to love it. Yeah.
That would be the only thing that I would think.
I agree. I think we're going to see some things like concert tickets being able to be bought on the Veve app, tickets to sporting events being able to be bought on the Veve app. And then as a part of that, you'll be able to attend your favorite rock concert, whether it be in the actual physical Veveverse, or you'll attend it because it's sponsored via or in part by Veve, and you'll be able to buy premium licensed digital content from that artist, whether it be, a specific sound clip or a video clip or an actual collectible that they put out. And you will only be able to get that if you attended that event. Similar to Comic-Con drops, how they're supposed to be, hey, you can only get Comic-Con exclusives if you're at Comic-Con. But of course, with things that have been going on in the world, we haven't been able to do that. I think you'll start to see a shift towards things like that. And then there's a bunch of other things that'll be released that we can't even imagine yet. And that's why they're constantly innovated. They're constantly, setting the bar higher and higher. And they're smart. They know if something is not going to be adopted by the mainstream right now, and there's no point in releasing it right now. So they're waiting until the time that it's appropriate, and then they'll roll it out. They have it in their back pocket, and they'll bring it out when they need it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it'd be pretty fun also if you ever see that episode of South Park where I think like Stan is sick or something. They're going trick-or-treating. So they bring him on like an iPad, and he's like, he's trick-or-treating on the iPad, where they're like, oh, trick-or-treat, our buddy's here. He's just at home, he's sick or whatever. I think that'd be really cool if you're able to do that. Like, let's say you can't get in the Veveverse for some way or another, but you can Skype someone or call them like Facebook Messenger or whatever, and put AR glasses in front of them. I don't know where I'm going with this. I just thought it's
no, but it's like you said, it's literally awesome, and we don't know, whether they're going to have partnerships with Apple with their Apple glasses, or who knows if they're going to do a partnership with Facebook with their metaverse. Like there's literally so many possibilities, and people, every single time I hear someone saying, "Hey, this isn't possible," I just see Dan, David, and the rest of the team sitting around a round table going, "Ha ha ha! If only they knew." Like it's for anyone that says that this is not going to be the Netflix or the Amazon of the digital space, I mean, that's fine. That's your opinion and you're entitled to it. And, invest your money however you see fit. And of course, you're always entitled to your opinion, whether you're invested or not. But I know why I invested in the project and I see the vision. Can I guarantee that it's going to roll out and be adopted the way that I would like to see it be? Well, no, of course not. There's no guarantees in life. But I think for a lot of people that are invested in the project, we understand the value cost proposition. We understand where this is going. And yeah, it may not be a perfect, well-oiled machine right now, but I would rather be in now through all these hiccups and bumps and be able to collect the collectibles at these price levels and collect the OMI token at these price levels than in 6 months to a year or 3 years from now when it's completely different. On the Ecomi wiki, Omi the Clown has a header that says if you had invested $10,000 in Omi 8 months ago, you would have $1.7 million.
Oh.
So guys, just remember that, right? Like, if you weren't invested 8 months ago, or you didn't invest $10,000 8 months ago, then maybe you say that you weren't early, right? You're, oh, well, I'm late now. This can't go any further. I put out a tweet yesterday that I pointed out to people that Ecomi or the OMI token is up 15,000% this year.
Yeah.
If we went up another 15,000% with the current circulating supply that we have, that doesn't even include the deflationary tokenomics, we would be at 75 cents.
Oh, that's it?
What do you mean that's it?
No,
75 cents.
Yeah, what I'm thinking, or 15,000%. I was thinking 15,000x.
No, it's 150x.
Yeah, okay.
It's 150x.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Like again, I thought
that's fine. I thought that was going to be
like a crazy outrageous number. Because you know how people are saying like, oh, what if we get to like a $10 OMI with right now that'd be a $2 trillion market
no,
cap.
It wouldn't be possible. Yeah, no.
But if we get down to like 150 billion in the circulating supply, and then $5 in this decade isn't that hard to do. That's within the.
And what people need to understand too is with the staking as a form of utility that should be rolled out. It'll be announced soon when it gets rolled out, who knows? Yeah. But once that does get rolled out, staking as a form of utility removes tokens from the circulating supply. So when we're talking market cap and we're talking token value, what people need to understand is in a hypothetical scenario, and I will make a video on this when the actual information comes out, but for argument's sake, if we want to talk like pure bull case scenario, like absolutely everything goes exactly the way we want it to. If let's say 90% of people stake their OMI tokens, then the circulating supply goes from 300 billion to let's say 30 billion, right?
That's nothing.
That 30 billion tokens, right? Let's say that's our active circulating supply with burns, with staking, whatever. Now, understand, guys, this is an extreme bull case scenario. I'm not this is going to happen, but for people that say that it's not possible, I'm just showing you how it is possible. If we have 30 billion tokens, Dogecoin earlier this year hit a $90 billion market cap. Okay, so Dogecoin, and remember, market cap is just amount of money in the space. So Dogecoin, no use case, only propped up by Elon Musk and Mark Cuban. People saying, hey, you should buy this because I have it and it's cool. You may have your own opinions of it. That's mine. Yeah. Regardless, the fact that it hit a $90 billion market cap is factual. If Ecomi was to hit a $90 billion market cap with a 30 billion token circulating supply, we would be at $3. So even if we said that staking took out 60% of the token circulating supply and we had 90 billion tokens and we hit a $90 billion market cap, we'd be at $1.
Yeah.
Like it's really not, and I know it's easy to say, well, it's $90 billion. Like understand that as crypto as a whole becomes more massively adopted, as Bitcoin grows in its market cap, all of the alts will follow. And once Bitcoin and the rest of the space has $5 to $10 trillion in it, right now it only has about $2 trillion. It's not at all difficult to see that if the cryptocurrency space 5x's and has $10 trillion worth of market cap, that Ecomi couldn't hold a 1% market share in the overall cryptocurrency space and be worth $100 billion.
Yeah.
Like we're going to be a bare minimum top 50 project by the end of this year, in my opinion. Yeah. And it's easy to see that in the next year or so, especially if we enter a bear market, how we could be a top 20 project. You're not convincing me otherwise until you show me some actual numbers to support it with the utility. And that's all based upon if the utility rolls out the way that we anticipate it rolling out. So we'll see once it does, but it's very exciting.
Yeah, and I see it like, there are blue chip stock companies. There's, Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, Google, Tesla. And then there's also stuff outside of Fang and Tesla that is people have no issue putting money into, like not even innovative companies like, you know, Square, Illumina, or CRISPR, but something like Johnson and Johnson, like the baby shampoo company. Yeah, they have. Go to your nearest like Rite Aid or your nearest Walgreens. Most of those products in there are Johnson and Johnson. Do you think that again, they're always usually a little late, institutional money, they're like, oh, hey, Disney, again, assuming we have Disney and Pokemon, all these amazing brands are in this one company that they're not going to invest in the token? Give it 5 years, and I guarantee you they do. I guarantee you people move. You know, Bitcoin and Ethereum, that'll be not old news. People will still be in it, but people will look for other stuff like Cardano, Solana, and if we're in the top 20, probably top 10, but let's say top 20, they're gonna be like, oh, hey, this is probably good for the future, just because of all the licenses, all of these things coming under one banner.
Well, and like you said, the biggest tech companies in the world that have these valuations in the trillions of dollars, Microsoft, Apple, Amazon, Google, what do you get as a shareholder for holding their token? Right?
Yeah.
You don't get me wrong, you make money from holding the share, right? Yeah. Like that's every investment.
And some give dividends, but
and some may give dividends, but what do you get from holding the OMI token? Well, you get the fact that it's deflationary in nature, which means it should, in theory, increase in value over time. You get the fact that it's a utility token so that you can use it to purchase things in the application, including collectibles and land. You have the ability to stake it and possibly earn rewards, which you might get in the form of dividends in a stock, but you'll also get that with the OMI token. So now you're getting all of those things from a company that's valued at under a $1 billion market cap. So look at, and when you want to think about it from a realistic perspective, and I don't know the exact numbers, but I think Apple is like a $2 trillion market cap roughly.
Yeah.
What is more likely? Is Ecomi more likely to 100x and go to a $100 billion market cap? Or is Apple more likely to 100x and go to a $200 trillion market cap?
Apple's not even going to 10x. Even give it 20 years.
And that's the thing, right? And that's what people like. Why I invested in this project is I understand that I'm still early, and I understand that there's still room to grow. Even similarly to people that invested in Bitcoin, and not that there's anything wrong with investing in Bitcoin. I do think it will continue to go up in value, but I see easily a 50 to 100x with the OMI token over the next 5 years. Easily. Like I have no doubt, like on the low end, 50 end, high end, 100x plus. Like I really, truly believe that with the deflationary tokenomics, we would only need like a 50x to get to like 25, 30 cents. Like I very firmly believe that. You're not going to get that from a company that's already been established for the last 30 years. There's just not enough money that exists in the space. Look at the crypto space as a whole in its infancy. The entire cryptocurrency space, which has like 6,800 cryptocurrencies, has less of a market cap overall than Apple.
Yeah.
Than one company. So what happens when it's so new? So what happens when the space as a whole becomes more adopted? The poo coins go to the wayside because of regulation, which we know that Ecomi has already fully taken care of. They make sure that they do everything legally and compliant, which is why these things take so long. And what are people going to be investing in? You're not going to be investing in SafeMoon. You're not going to be investing in Shiba Inu. You're not going to be investing in Dogecoin. You're not. You're going to be investing in tokens like Solana, like Cardano, like Ethereum, like Ecomi, and maybe like Bitcoin as a store of value. But once again, Bitcoin's not going to go like this. Bitcoin is going to go like this because it's a store of value. It's not meant to go, woo.
Yeah.
Ecomi, on the other hand, with everything that they have going for them, once we get that mass adoption, I put out a tweet yesterday, 0.0009% of people are in the NFT space right now.
Oh, God.
It was a tweet from, it wasn't Dan Schwabel. It was the other guy that was in the chat.
Jeremiah.
Jeremiah. He put out that tweet. So
God.
Think about how early you are when you consider that. OpenSea only has 300,000 users.
Really?
Yeah, they have 300,000 accounts. We have the same amount of users. We have more accounts, but let's be honest, people have multiple accounts. So we have about the same amount of users at OpenSea.
Wow.
But think about how many people, and this is why I talked about in the Twitter space with Dan and Jeremiah. We have this confirmation bias where people look at, we're surrounded by Omi, 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 Omi. So people think that just everyone in the world must know about Omi because we know about it. So how could they not? No one knows about not just Ecomi, but the entire NFT space
in general.
They know nothing about it. So in 3 or 4 years, when NFTs are no longer a buzzword and they're just common everyday place, you have to think, which project is going to be the leader in that space? It's going to be the one with the licensed intellectual property, with the biggest brands in the world, and who has those right now?
Yeah, and I was telling, and not that I didn't do no research, but I put in a good amount of research on because it took me a while. My original goal was to retire, sell most of everything, and put it into Bitcoin. And then when I found Omi, I was like, oh no, that Bitcoin's the wrong move. Now, eventually, even if Omi hadn't come along, I probably would have found the Cardano or Solana and be like, okay, well, the potential for this has a lot higher, than Bitcoin. But if there was any other coin out there that was as safe or even close to as safe as Ecomi that could go higher, even if it wasn't as safe, but it could go higher, I would be going into that coin. But there isn't. Is there another invest? Like, could you try to do that with maybe like a poop coin and time the market? I mean, I wouldn't put in $400,000 into that. I would put in, maybe I'll put in like $1,000 or $2 just to roll the dice, just to gamble, just to fuel my addiction. But yeah, and also what Lori says, that there is a just because we're going to be number one, that's what I believe in this space, doesn't mean that there's not going to be a number 2, 3, 4, 5, and 10. So a Terra Virtua or a Quid or a Palm. I didn't even know Palm was a thing until yesterday or until this morning. It's possible that they take market share and they have 5% of the market share of the marketplace, which is fine. That's good. You want a little bit, even though Ecomi has no serious competition, you want people at least 100 yards back in your rearview mirror to be, all right, don't slow down. That's my opinion on it.
No, I agree with you.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah, right. Tokidoki Girl will be a top performer in the Veve app. Such a beautiful collectible. Yeah, and I kind of made a mistake. I was like, well, if you don't want the ultra rare, you could get the rare or the cut because they're all relatively similar artwork. Whereas something like on the Cryptkins, like I thought that had a lot more potential, which I still think it does, because a lot of them are pretty cheap and they're all distinctly different. They're all small and they look a little weird, but they're like the Nessie is completely different from the Bigfoot, which is completely different from the Cthulhu. They have all distinct features. So I like that. What are some of yours that you think are undervalued?
See, undervalued is tough because I'm always hesitant to say that because I feel like money just moves, right? Like we have a finite amount of money that's in the space right now and it just moves from different types. So I think some of the collectibles right now are starting to go down a little bit than what they're probably what they should be valued at, because people feel as though having physical collectibles on the app will be better for whatever Master Collector Program announcement comes out.
Yeah.
So I could see some of maybe the comic books that need to be a little bit higher valued. I would say that anything that may have been undervalued a week or so ago, I've already scooped up. What I will say is I think the Captain America common that just sold out is probably a little bit undervalued. I honestly don't own one. Oh, I do. My wife has the full set, but I don't have one on my account. I could just see I can see that going up. I know it's not an FA, but it's still Captain America. And we look at what the Spider-Man common is at right now. It's like 3x the floor price of what it was. So I can see that maybe being a little bit undervalued. We own the Ghost Trap and we sold it. It was up to $1,100. We sold it at $400 and it's worth $800 now. So guys, what I'll say is take my predictions when it comes to the actual collectibles itself with a grain of salt, because I am terrible at timing the market when it comes to that stuff. But I would say that the Ghost Trap was the first interactive NFT that interacts with another collectible that came onto the application. And we saw Ritmos now up at 2.3K, and the Ghost Trap, which has fantastic animation, interacts with the Slimer, and only has 1,750 editions. is probably undervalued at its price point right now. I know the Slimer's hovering around 120, or at least it was the last time that I saw it. And then beyond that, I would say not necessarily that they're undervalued, but that I see the floor rising. Just some of like the Murmur-Cornos and the Kripkins and things like that. Not the ultra rare and the secret rares, but just the ones I know we talked last week, and you said you were loading up on some of the I think it was the Murmur-Cornos. Was it that you were getting? The Stellina, yeah. So I mean, I definitely could see how those may still be undervalued, because what you have to remember at the same time is everyone enters the market at a different price point, and that may be the price point that people are looking to enter the market, because everything else might be out of their price range. So those will be the next items that I think start to get scooped up, and the floor on them will rise, I think, on that. But that's what I think on that.
Yeah, I can't wait for that. And I also think in the future, however many years it takes, it would be really cool to have some things interact with other things, like, oh, it's a ghost trap. Wouldn't that be great, where when we get Pokemon, it could also trap Ghastly, Haunter, Gengar, and all the other ghost type Pokemon?
Yo, that would be sick. I don't know. Do you think would that have to be something that they would have to get like licensing permission for, you think?
I don't know.
Like, they have both licenses conceivably, right? Like, let's pretend in this scenario they have Pokemon, they have the license for Ghostbusters. Like, would they need to say like, hey, Pokemon, do you give us permission to?
I mean,
it's not a game necessarily, right? Like, it's just on the app. It's just an interactivity. Like, I don't know. That's
because like, let's say if it's a game, like, oh, this let's say if they make it that this this will be able to catch anything. It can catch Superman. It can catch whatever. I mean, I think that'd be a little stupid if it can catch Superman, but yeah, they could just make that argument. Like, no, it can catch whatever, and it's a ghost type Pokemon. But in that same breath, I think it'd be cool to be able to take a Pokeball and catch a Slimer, just because that's a ghost, and like, oh, maybe.
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah, no, I 100% agree with you. Yeah, that'd be sweet. That would be sweet.
So Brendan Weeks says, also with the exchanges buying up Omi for their supply, depending if we get listed on a few exchanges in a month, you can see 15 to 25 cents instantly. I think maybe when we have a Coinbase listing, because I know KuCoin, Kraken, and Gemini, let's say we get that, one each month, October, November, December, that's good for us to go up, not slowly, but because it wouldn't make much sense if they put in suddenly a Coinbase the first thing, and then, the next, if they put in Coinbase in October, then they have, a KuCoin and whatever, that's not really going to affect the price that much. But if we do it slowly, is 15, 25 cents, is that possible? Is that, I mean, I know anything's possible, but
yeah, like I'll be honest with you, for all that I know about Omi's tokenomics, and I understand it quite extensively, I'll be honest with you, I don't know the exchange relation between exchanges buying the tokens to have for liquidity and what impact that has on price, if any. I don't know if they're just simply given the tokens from the pool of wherever the tokens are sitting and it doesn't affect the liquidity, or if it does. I don't know that aspect of it. I only understand the concept of the staking and the holding in relation to the impact on value. That is something that I'm going to look into, Brennan. That's a good thought. And if it was to happen, I mean, I'd be pretty darn excited. I mean, that would be fantastic, but I don't know enough about it, unfortunately, to comment on it.
Yeah. Would you, if this does go to, let's say 20 cents, would you just like, oh, hey, let me just take 10% and just scoop that up and let the rest ride?
So I mean, I may make like a full price breakdown video. I think when I hit 1,000 subscribers if I ever hit 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, I might. I might. I think I'm at like 750-ish roughly right now. So thanks for everyone for the support once again. But like I said, when I hit 1,000, I might just make a video and just kind of let people know, like, hey, here's how I acquired my tokens. Here's how much I own, and here's kind of my strategy. But what I will say to that is, like I said, I think if we hit, depending on where we hit by the end of this year, like if we can hit anywhere between 6 and 10 cents, which would be astronomical. When I say end of year, I mean maybe like into Q1 2022. I'll pull up my initial investment. 36 cents I've kind of calculated would be enough for me to have my house paid off and for my wife and I to retire and never have to work again. I very much think that we will be much higher than that. 36 cents, to give people an idea, gives me about $5 million. So I'd pay off my house. My house is under $1 million, obviously. So I'd have over $4 million that I could invest in. I don't think I would ever pull entirely out of Omi, let's be honest, but diversify whatever, and then just live off of whatever the 5 or 6% interest a year that I'm making, or at the very least, my wife would be able to retire. She's talked about the possibility of being a stay-at-home mom. I have a 15-month-old daughter at home, and we're planning eventually to have at least one more child. So maybe she would be able to retire, and I would continue to work and kind of see where things take us. But I mean, anything over 50 cents, like I'm retired with ease, and there's no stress or anything about it. So I mean, if you're thinking 15 to 25 cents, like almost instantly, like I would be pretty happy about it. But like I said, my strategy for pulling out of my investment, my exit plan per se, is really going to depend on how the catalysts drive the price of the token. Like if we see all of these announcements, everything that's supposed to be rolled out, we get crazy licenses, we get a bunch of exchanges, everything, and the token doesn't go above 2 cents. Okay, maybe I'm reevaluating things, right? Yeah. But if we get all of these announcements as I anticipate them coming, if we get the utility and the staking and the master collector program, OMI to NFT, OMI to land, MTL, all those things, and we're pushing into 10, 20, 30 cent range. Yeah, I mean, obviously it's easy to say you're diamond handed until you look in your account and realize you have $3 or $4 million. Like, yeah, you're probably pulling out some profit at that point, but I will be invested in OMI for possibly the rest of my life, even depending on how this project goes. So, and I have no quarrels about it. I'm very similar to you, albeit we may be retiring at different tax brackets. OMI is my retirement fund, and I know it is for you as well. And for anyone that doubts it, I always invite you to come back to me in 3 to 5 years and replay this clip for me and let me know how it went. Right? Yeah. Like I'm not omniscient. I don't know the future, but hey, come back to me. Maybe we can have a laugh about it because I was an idiot and thought we were going to hit $1 and we'd never hit more than 2 cents. Or come back to me and be like, dude, thanks so much for the perspective. You were right on point with everything that was going on. You and Randy, you're not just two crazy dudes after all. And we're all having a good time at all of our get-togethers. Have you ironed down any more get-togethers? I know we talked last week about a 40 to 45 cent gathering, maybe somewhere in Canada that I can host. Have you heard anything more about any more of the any of the gatherings or anything that you'd like to put on? I know you want to do a $1 one.
I mentioned the 5 cents with Daniel Lee, 10 cents in Long Island, the 20 or 25 cents is in Vegas. I do want to put on something in Florida. I probably like 50 cents maybe, or pay for everyone's OMI tattoos. $1 with Lindsey Sterling. People do want maybe at like 35 cents, like a UK party, something like that. Nice. So yeah, nothing is like outside of the Daniel Lee 5 cents and my 10 cent. None of the others, like I haven't heard anyone specific saying like, hey, let's go put on a Vegas party. People are just saying, let's all meet up in Vegas. It's gonna be so disorganized, but
no, man, it's gonna be nuts. Yeah, it's gonna be. we're gonna have to get Veve to like tweet out official things like, hey, yeah, you guys need to meet here at this time. Gathering happening at this location. Here's the Medium article. Like it's gonna be.
That'd be fun.
Be good, yeah.
But yeah, I hope people hold me to the thing where I say like, hey, maybe I don't want to liquidate most of my stuff until $1. But like everyone has diamond hands until they're worth 8 figures, $10 million. It's real hard not to pull out. So I hope people hold me to that. Like, hey, don't.
Yeah, but like I said, your priority will change based on how the token is doing, right? Like if we quote unquote never hit more than 10 cents, well then no one's gonna say, well, you didn't hold to $1 like you said you were gonna hold to, right? Like it's like priorities change. But if we both believe that it's gonna do what we think it's gonna do, then I'm gonna come to you in 6 months and be like, hey, I don't care that you're at $10 million, you're holding, baby. Like that's it.
Yeah. And so Islam Gall has a question, how they're worth 50 million. They just on their one deal last month alone with the Rewind logo, the Da Vinci, the Pride, that was a $50 million deal just by itself over the next 5 or 6 years. So they definitely have a lot of that definitely have that. I don't know. They never really mentioned how much like the Marvel deal was worth or how much like the
they didn't mention that, but like you said, I know for the Givenchy and Rewind Collective, it was like a 5-year, $50 million deal. So there's that, and then on top of that, you have to remember too, like yes, they've only made they've made like $60 million in revenue this year from selling drops. Obviously, that doesn't 100% go into their pockets. We know they have a ton of fees and stuff. But like Randy said, they have licensing deals that they may receive kickbacks or cuts from. They may have sponsorships or licensing or other companies that, for all we know, are invested in them in the back end. I don't know where you got the 50 million number specifically from. I obviously go by what the token is trading at and what the value is. You also have to remember that the founders who have an ownership stake in Ecomi own a bunch of OMI tokens. So if you want to say that Dan and David own half of the founder tokens, then they own 40 billion tokens. What is $40 billion, or what are 40 billion tokens worth right now with, you know what I mean? So I would say based on that, it's very easy to see how they could be worth a minimum of $50 million.
Art Patron, that was the dude that said he had a, it was a $50 million. That's where I got the $50 million deal. He announced it on his Instagram, so that's where.
Yep. So no, I mean, it's a good question, but once again, I think Dan even said in his latest AMA with the Chinese investors, he's like, Dan and I don't even know how many tokens we hold exactly for their founder tokens. He's like, we're planning on donating a bunch of them to charitable causes and stuff. Like, they're not even planning on like spending them, guys. Like they're gonna make so much money off of this platform that they know that they don't need that many tokens. You know what I mean? Like, you get to a point where you just, and we talked about this with Randy earlier, like you get to a point where what's the difference between 95 million and $100 million with your lifestyle, right? Like, if you're used to living a normal 9-to-5 lifestyle, there's no difference between 95 and $100 million. Like, you need to understand that. Like, they don't need, if OMI was to hit $1, which I firmly believe that it will by the end of this decade at the very latest, they do not need 20 billion tokens each. They don't need to be worth $20 billion, right? Like, they could donate half of those and be worth $10 billion. And that's still more money than them or their children or their children's children or their extended family would ever need in their entire lifetime, right? So, yeah.
So we got Shaq with that update. They had posted 30,000 editions for Carnage. So I don't know about you, but there's about 40% of the people on my, maybe 35% of the people on my videos the other day, they did not get one. Like, they did not even get one comic.
Yeah.
A couple of people got two. You get one on the rebound, or, they have multiple devices, or, families, and there's a bunch of them. But so it's 30,000 of these. What do you do when you're at work? Just like, hey, I got to take a leak real quick. I'll be right back. Got to hit the head.
So I think I may have mentioned this, but so I'm a bylaw enforcement officer. So I work on the road and I work shift work. So I do my best to not be dealing with a call when the drop comes. And then I pull over to the side of the road and I take 30 seconds to try and buy the drop. And then I go, okay, back to working. Right. So that's what I do when I'm working. And then obviously when I'm working, I may not have as good of a connection. So I don't always have as much luck. But I consider myself very fortunate. Like, the drops are 8 a.m. Pacific time, which for me is 11 a.m. Eastern. So like, even when I work my night shifts, like waking up at 11 a.m. is not like too early ever. On day shifts, like, it works fine. So, and because I work shift work, I work 7 days and 7 nights a month. And the night shifts that I work start at 3 p.m. So if the drop's at 11 a.m., I can still do the drop in the morning before I go to work. So there's really only 7 days a month that I work. And of those 7 days, a drop may only come on 2 of them. So it's usually not generally a huge issue. And like I said, I'm very fortunate at home. I have very good internet. So I've been very lucky on the drops. What is your opinion on, because I've seen some people say like internet speed is the major factor, like you're paying relative to the servers. Do you think that we will eventually adopt more of a blind box or lottery system method for the collectibles that are being released based on the amount of users that we have coming in and the scarcity of the collectibles? Or is it always going to be a matter of, if you have the fastest internet, you get it, and anyone else is kind of...
I think they want to. And the reason why I think so is because, to my knowledge, every single physical collectible drop before Throg was you try to the secret rare, the ultra rare. And I think with Throg, they were saying, okay, let's try this out. Let's see how people react. And we loved it. But I think that's also because the prices on them, one, they sell out everything, but also the prices are, although mostly everything now that you can buy from the store, they'll be worth more than it is. But right out the gate, the commons were going for 100. I think they're going for like 89 now or something like that. So you're not losing money. I think that's something that should be really taken into account. Like only put, if you can afford it, great. But if you can't, even if you can't, okay, well, most likely you'll get your money back plus then some. So I think they want to. I think Throg was pretty well received. I didn't really hear any complaints. So I'm pretty confident about that.
Cool.
And then outside of that, I think that was about it. Oh no, we do have. Oh yeah, I just said Carnage 30K. I was talking to Jeremiah Aoyang's Twitter space the other day just about, and his concern. I think he's actually having a talk with Dan today. His concern is that how do you make it fair for people that are not in the 1%, and for be able to go and say, hey, what's the how is it fair for them to come in, buy all land in the Veveverse? And I think just blind boxes. So I think we'll. Yeah. Do you hope that they do that, or do you hope that they
for the land, or just in general?
In general.
Yeah, I mean it's a balance. Here's what I'll say, and I don't know if you noticed this or not, but I feel like the Throg, based on the price that it's currently at, I'm kind of surprised. It seems low based on the total amount of editions that are out currently. I think there's only about 13,000 editions. I think the ultra rare is not even 900. The rare is hovering at about 200, and then like the uncommon is like $90. And like if they all went for 50, I was a little bit surprised just based on the total edition numbers to see the collectible selling for that price. I expected it to be, market cap wise relative to some of the other collectibles that we've had. I expected it to be higher. Do you think that could have been in part to the fact that it was a blind box and people were kind of rebelling as a process? Like, I don't know, because to me, it's one of the cheapest collectible sets to complete on the app currently. And I feel like it's not being bought up really at all right now. Like I don't see a lot of people,
like $1,000 for the whole set.
Yeah, like I don't see a lot of people buying it up. What I will say is I hope that there will be a balance and a mix between blind box drops and maybe a lottery system, and then maybe just the buy now. I don't think all of one over the other. You're at the end of the day, you're never going to be able to please everyone, right? Like you're really not going to ever be able to please everyone. But I know a lot of people weren't happy because they said a $50 blind box. I don't want to spend $50 on a blind box. I don't think spending $50 on a blind box is an issue if you are relatively assured that regardless of what you buy is going to be worth the same or more than what you bought it for. I think if we start getting into blind boxes, like let's say they decide to do a Spider-Man blind box, like let's pretend the Spider-Man drop was a blind box and it was $200 and there was 3 collectibles worth less than $200 and 2 that were worth more than $200. Like that's where I see us kind of getting into the issue, is like if you price it at a point where you could get something that's worth less, I think people would say, well, no, like I'm doing it to collect and have my collectibles increase in value. I'm not doing it to play a lottery and buy something that's worth nothing. So I think where the comic books, it's a safe bet. It's $7. The Marvel Mighties was $13. It was easy. I think they tried it with Throg. They'll probably look at their data and kind of make a determination with how they do it. I will expect to see some collectibles still come out in blind box moving forward. But for the real premium, like I wouldn't consider Throg a premium collectible. Yeah, like he's cool, he's like whatever. But like even like when I saw it, I was like, there's no animation on the ultra rare. Like it looks like he should be slamming a hammer down, right? And I was just like. So I'm like, okay, yeah, like, no, it makes sense to do that in a blind box. But if it had animations that had all that extra, like, no, I don't think a blind box would have made sense.
That's true. Like a secret rare Tony Stark with a proton cannon.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you want to put that at like a $400 thing.
Exactly. You want to know that you're going to get the people paying for it in value and whatever. I will say the blind boxes generally ensure that items sell out, which I guess is a benefit, but I also don't think that that's an issue we really run into with 95% of the collectibles on VV anyways. So yeah.
Did you see that Ghostbusters trailer for the movie?
I have not yet. No.
All right. So what I'm thinking is that, you know how like the shark from Suicide Squad became like a fan favorite, and like the cat from Fairy Tale, Happy, is a fan favorite. There's a scene in the trailer for Ghostbusters where it's these little Stay Puft marshmallows. They're tiny and they're like burning each other because they're marshmallows. And I thought that was kind of cute. That was kind of funny. And if they become like a like a Boba Fett, like a fan favorite, I
Yeah.
think something like a Stay Puft on this that can go to the moon. That'd be just because all the kids would want it. It's like, oh, it's a Stay
Yeah.
Puft. Yeah.
Well, and that's the other thing too. Like, you never know how these collectibles are going to take on a life of their own. So, like, maybe Frog Thor is going to become like kind of a meme, like a
Yeah.
meme of our collectibles. So, like, I have an uncommon number 400, so it's a decent mint. And then my wife had the rare. And like we didn't sell either of them. Like we probably could have and made a couple $100, but I was like, we've done that before and then been burned on it enough. Like, if you don't need to sell, like let's just hold and see what's good.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be good too. There's a couple of people I think Brendan Z and Junior Sanchez yesterday, they were just like, when you get too big, you're gonna forget us. So I was like, no, I'm not gonna you guys are awesome. I could never. And Janie apparently loves you.
Thank
Um,
you.
I was thinking about at some point having like a party for the OGs and just like, but only telling the people like, oh, okay, yeah, Brendan's invited. He's been here for a long time. Junior Sanchez, Star Helix, is that would like most would because you do want to do something nice, but I feel like in doing that something that nice, sometimes people that are left out might be like, oh man, I didn't get an invite. I was like, okay, well, you've been here like 3 weeks, and everyone else has been here for like months.
Yeah.
I
You know
don't
what?
know if that would be a
Yeah, it's tough because like where do you draw the line on that? And similarly to how we've seen people upset about collectible groups that you can only be a part of if you own a specific collectible.
yeah, that's true.
It's like, hey, like you're an OG, like I think if you want to do that on your own time, like, hey, I'm gonna be here at this time, like similar to how like I think Dan and Kay did like something in the UK and some people showed up. It's like, I think it'd be one thing if you're like, hey, like I'm here and if you guys want to hang out with me, you can. And if you don't, you don't. Like I've had a couple of people reach out to me that live, Montreal, Toronto, Vancouver, like in Canada, and be like, hey,
Yeah,
we should have a get together. And like I'm down for that. Like the
yeah,
fact
that'd be
that
fun.
people want to spend time with me, like I consider it an honor. So what I would say is like I don't think, and I know for a fact, like you would never become too big or too self-important. Like you don't have that inflated ego. And I noticed that very quickly when I reached out to you a couple weeks ago and you were very like, hey, let me get back to you. Like I reached out to Taps a couple days ago about this Call of Duty thing. And I mean, he's got 10,000 subscribers. He's probably the biggest by following content creator in the Ecomi community. And like, he just talked to me like I was a normal dude. You know what I mean? And I talked to him like he was a normal dude. Like, I think what people need to realize is like at the end of the day, like, yeah, we put out content on a specific issue, but we're just normal people like you guys, right? Like we're no different. We're no more special. There's people in this chat that have more money invested than Randy, that have more money invested than me, that have more collectibles, that have more OMI. Doesn't make them better than us, doesn't make us worse than them, doesn't make us better than you because we have more OMI or what. Like that doesn't matter, right? Like what we have is a community that cares about the success of other people in the community and the community as a whole. And that's why I mentioned earlier in this stream, the fact that 300 people can like someone's post saying, hey, I got the secret rare comic book. And no one's like, oh, damn, you got it. And I didn't. That's not fair. You suck. Like, it's like, no, congratulations, man. I'm happy for you. Like, that's the kind of stuff we need in this community. And if people want to have get-togethers, like, yeah, I think they're welcome. I think if people want to reach out and say, hey, do you want to have a get together? And it's more of like a private function. I don't know that I would ever personally do like, hey, if you weren't in the community before this date, you're not welcome. Yeah. That's just not me. But yeah, no, I don't see you. Even when you're worth $100 million, I'm sure we'll still be shooting the what, and you'll still be talking to the community. And like I said, like everyone in this chat, like if no one was here, like honestly, if no one was here watching this, Randy and I would still be having this conversation.
We'd still be having fun.
We'd still be having fun. Like we love, but it makes it even better that you're here because we can interact and enjoy, which is why I started live streaming on my channel was inspired by Randy. Like I don't pull in Randy numbers by any stretch of the imagination. I think my other stream yesterday actually went pretty well, but the day before that I was averaging like 8 people, but it was 8 people that wanted to talk to me about Ecomi and Veve. And I love talking about Ecomi and Veve. So it was an awesome, and I did it for like 3 hours because I could literally go all day about this stuff. Like I absolutely love it. And I don't ever think that, Randy or I will ever be, too big for anyone, or maybe I should say Randy, maybe because he'll be there a lot before I will. But no, I've never gotten that vibe from you. You're a super down to earth guy. And that's why I love talking to you about this stuff. So.
Yeah, I mean, I try to answer everyone. I do on like my live streams or on the YouTube comments. I do. Unfortunately, right now, oh yeah, so Ritmo Gang represent.
Yeah.
Oh, love
I
it.
don't have one. I wish I bought one. I wish I bought one before they were
Yeah.
$800. Then they became animated and they were $800. I wish I bought one then, and now they're $2,400. So
Yeah, no, agreed. I love it. But I do have to bounce because I do have a couple of missed calls from an old client of mine. So he is going to be a little, what do you call it? I don't know, see what he wants. So I do have to bounce. Any last thoughts that you have?
thanks again, guys, for tuning in. Like I said, I just kind of reiterate that. I know there's a ton of comments maybe we couldn't have got to in time, and we would definitely love to discuss them. I do imagine that Randy and I will be doing this again at some point. Yeah, maybe we'll make it a weekly thing. If people don't want to see it weekly, maybe we'll push a little bit further. But we did it last Wednesday. We're doing it this Wednesday. Maybe we'll see about doing it next week as well. The news always changes so quickly. There's always so much information that comes out. Obviously, Randy puts out videos twice a day, and even then, he probably doesn't get a chance to cover everything that he'd like. I put out videos when I see things in the community that I can run numbers on, and I think you guys will be interested in. Thanks for all the support, guys. Like I said, I've really enjoyed being a part of this community. I really do consider it an honor and a privilege. And I just look forward to kind of going through all of this with all of you. And hopefully by next week or whenever we do this again, we'll have some more to talk about. And Randy, I'm sure will have acquired at least another million Omi by then. And
Maybe 500,000, but yeah, I mean, we have the Carnage details now. We have some details of the James Bond thing. Again, they can't just do one announcement a day. They have to do multiple. There's so many.
Oh, it's
so
crazy.
Maybe like a pre-Comic-Con thing next week, and then like a post-Comic-Con thing the week after. We'll see. We'll keep you guys posted. So everyone, thank you so much, and Amo Medovich, thank you so much for that. Everyone that made all the super chats, but you especially, that $100 is incredible, amazing. Thank you. All right, everyone, I love you. I'm gonna say. Can you all have even seen Dashy the whole time?
No, we haven't.
Oh, really? Oh, bye-bye, Dashy. All right, sorry, I missed you the whole day. All right, bye, guys. Bye. Meow. Thank you again, Foster. All right, bye.